Chapter 601. Yu Wuyun was utterly shocked. No one in the Yu family would have thought that Yi Li would say such a thing. To make their family head kneel and kowtow to apologize for him? This was definitely the most shocking thing they had ever heard. Yu Wuyun didn't expect the young man in front of him to say such a thing. He couldn't have looked more shocked. A few seconds later, Yu Wuyun came back to his senses and stared at Yi Li. "Brat, do you know the consequences when you say this?" Yu Wuyun said coldly. Yi Li secretly shook his head. It seemed that the warrior families in City H were indeed not good. Yu Menjir was a 10th tier evolved being, and Yu Wuyun was only a tier 1 transcender. It seemed that the Infinity sect was much stronger than the Yu family. "It seems that you want kowtow to me and admit your mistake?" Yi Li looked at Yu Wuyun indifferently. Hearing Yi Li's words, Yu Wuyun burst into fury and stared at Yi Li. "Brat, I'll kill you!" Yu Wuyun roared. Yi Li shook his head slightly. He sighed. When did a mere tier 1 transcender dare to pretend in front of him? What a joke. Yi Li slowly raised his finger and then raised it high. "I have a finger that can penetrate the sky and the earth." On his finger, a terrifying white spiritual light entangled, looking terrifying. Everyone in the Yu family was stunned when they saw the white spiritual light on Yi Li's finger. This heaven-defying level genetic talent. Everyone in the Yu family was shocked. For them, the heaven-defying level genetic talent was simply a legend. But now a person with such a genetic talent had appeared in front of them. Yu Wuyun, the head of the Yu family, was also stunned. He would never have dreamed that Yi Li was a heaven-defying level genetic warrior. Just as Yu Wuyun was stunned, Yi Li's finger fell. Swish. The speed of the white spiritual light attack reached an astonishing level, looking extremely terrifying. For Yi Li, a tier 1 transcender was about the same as a 10th tier evolved being. No matter what, they wouldn't be able to resist his one young finger. The next moment, the terrifying white spiritual light pierced through Yu Wuyun's legs, and Yu Wuyun instantly knelt on the ground. Silence, a deathly silence. No one in the Yu family would have expected this. They had thought that Yi Li was just an ant in front of their family head, but they didn't expect this situation. "I asked you to kowtow and apologize, but you didn't listen and had to make me do this. Why do you have to do this?" Yi Li slowly said. Yu Wuyun was in extreme pain, and cold sweat had drenched his entire body. Who are you?" Yu Wuyun looked at Yi Li in horror. Yi Li smiled faintly. "My name is Yi Li, but many people don't call me Yi Li, but Demon King Yi Li." "What?" As soon as he said this, everyone in the Yu family took 3 steps back in fright, their eyes as wide as they could. There was no fluctuation on Yi Li's handsome face. An ant was an ant. How sad. The Demon King Yi Li? Yu Wuyun's face was ashen because he would never have thought that the person in front of him was the Demon King Yi Li. "How is it? Do you still want me to die?" Yi Li looked at Yu Wuyun indifferently. Yu Wuyun didn't dare to speak anymore. He was already scared out of his wits. Yu Menjir froze like a wooden statue. Chapter 602. Adorable boy. Yu Menjir looked at Yi Li in a daze. At this moment, there were no words to describe her horror. Demon King Yi Li. This was the Demon King Yi Li? "Oh, right. I heard that your backer is the Infinity sect. How is it? Do you want to let the Infinity sect have a try?" Yi Li looked at Yu Wuyun indifferently. Everyone from the Yu family looked at each other. They all looked different, but there was one thing on their faces, which was horror, deep horror. They couldn't even breathe and their souls were trembling deeply. Demon King, we were wrong. Please forgive us." Yu Wuyun kowtowed to Yi Li a few times. He knew that if the Demon King Yi Li didn't forgive them, their Yu family would be reduced to ashes in an instant. He would never doubt if Yi Li had such strength. Yi Li looked at Yu Wuyun, thinking that Yu Wuyun's attitude was not bad. "Get lost," Yi Li slowly said. Hearing this, everyone from the Yu family hurriedly fled as if they had been pardoned. Yi Li's face was as calm as water. He looked at Yu Ling indifferently. "Now that the matter has been resolved, you and Yu Chen can go to the sword sect. Just tell them my name." As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Li activated the swift steps and disappeared, leaving the people of the Yu family behind in shock. In the wilderness of the base city was extremely terrifying. There were not only ferocious beasts here but also zombies. At this moment, the Apocalypse Legion was in the wilderness not far from City H and had gathered many zombies. Yi Li arrived in front of the Apocalypse Legion. The 9 zombies of the Apocalypse Legion respectfully greeted Yi Li. After nodding, Yi Li began to synthesize these zombies. Yu Zhu has been upgraded to a 6th tier master level zombie. In the end, Yu Zhu upgraded to a tier 1 lord level zombie. At present, Ada was a 5th tier lord level zombie, and the others were all Tier 1 Lord level zombies. Help! Help! Can someone save me? At this moment, a panicked voice entered Yi Li's ears. Yi Li looked in the direction of the voice and found an extremely cute young man running over quickly. Behind the young man were more than a dozen Dark Race members. These Dark Race members were all Master-level Dark Race members. And this cute boy's realm was not bad. He was actually a Tier 1 Transcender, comparable to Yu Wuyun. Yi Li could tell that this boy must be a disciple of a certain sect. The cute boy ran not far from Yi Li and saw Yi Li and the 9 zombies of the Apocalypse Legion. Oh my god, the cute boy was desperate. He was really desperate. More than a dozen Master-level Dark Race members also stopped in their tracks. They looked at Yi Li and the Apocalypse Legion coldly. With the strength of these members of the Dark Race, they couldn't tell the realm of Yi Li and the Apocalypse Legion. Human. A member of the Dark Race looked at Yi Li and said, "No, who are you?" Another Master-level Dark Race member said coldly. Yi Li ignored the Dark Race member and looked at the cute boy. "Why are they chasing you?" Yi Li asked slowly. The cute boy was a little stunned. He didn't expect Yi Li to ask such a question. Because I stole their Cloud Scarlet fruit. Cloud Scarlet fruit? For Yi Li, this was an extremely unfamiliar name. However, he felt that this youth was not bad. He actually dared to steal under the noses of so many Master-level Dark Race members. Chapter 603, Master, please accept my bow Udat Bisenvel. Yi Li looked at the dozen or so Master-level Dark Race members in front of him indifferently. Wait a moment. Let me ask you something. After that, Yi Li asked the cute boy, what is the Cloud Scarlet fruit? Before the cute boy could answer, an extremely impatient voice came from a Master-level Dark Race member. Human, who would let you ask? Why didn't you run when you met us? Do you think you can do whatever you want just because you control a few zombies? As soon as he finished speaking, this Tier 1 Master-level Dark Race member pounced at Yi Li. Swish. With a wind-breaking sound, the life of this Tier 1 Master-level Dark Race member disappeared from this world forever. Inst-killed a Tier 1 Master-level Dark Race member? The cute boy and the other Master-level Dark Race members were all stunned. Yi Li's face was as calm as water. He looked at the cute boy and continued to ask, "Go on, what's the use of the Cloud Scarlet fruit?" After one eats the Cloud Scarlet fruit, his strength can temporarily increase by 10 times. In the entire Eastern Realm, it's one of the most precious medicines, the cute boy replied in a daze. Hearing this, Yi Li understood. Then you're quite bold. Yi Li looked at the cute boy and said. The cute boy touched his head as if he was a little embarrassed. Human, are you going to be our enemy? Another Tier 1 Master-level member of the Dark Race said coldly to Yi Li. Yi Li smiled. So you are members of the Dark Temple. That's right. Human, are you afraid? Yi Li shook his head slightly. If you weren't members of the Dark Temple, one might have spared your lives, but now you have no way out. The dozen or so Master-level Dark Race members were all stunned, but the moment they were stunned, they were already dead. Even when they died, they didn't know how they died. In this perilous world, one killed my way out with the blade in my hand. The cute boy was stunned. This was the first time he had been so shocked since he was born. How is this possible? The cute boy's eyes widened. In his opinion, everything was too unbelievable. Oh, who are you exactly? A look of vigilance appeared on the cute boy's face. His father had told him that he couldn't trust anyone in the wilderness. Tell me your name first. Yi Li found this boy interesting. My name is Chuan Ning, the cute boy replied. Yi Li. Yi Li said slowly. Chuan Ning nodded. Oh, Yi Li, what? Chuan Ning seemed to think of something extremely terrifying, his face full of fear. His name is Yi Li and he has zombies following him. Could it be, he is the Demon King Yi Li? Chuan Ning was secretly shocked. What an incredible possibility. Are you the Demon King Yi Li? Chuan Ning looked at Yi Li carefully. Yes. Yi Li nodded. To Yi Li's surprise, Chuan Ning knelt in front of Yi Li in the next second. Master, please accept my bow. What? Yi Li was stunned. Master, disciple? When did he have such a disciple? Why didn't he know? Master, since you destroyed the Heavenly Blade sect, I, Chuan Ning, have decided to take you as my master. Chuan Ning's face was full of smiles. Yi Li's handsome face regained its calmness as he looked indifferently at Chuan Ning. I won't take you as my disciple. Get up. Chapter 604, The First Temple Master of the Dark Temple in the Wasteland Udat Bisenvel. Chuan Ning didn't seem to want to give up. His face was very firm. No. I must make you my master. Hee hee. Yili smiled. No one had ever dared to say such a thing to him. What a joke. Immediately Yili discovered something. He activated the heavenly spirit eyes to scan the body of Chuan Ning. Then he seemed to see something interesting and smiled. Hiding his aura? Yili secretly smiled. Fortunately he was smart. If he hadn't used the heavenly spirit eyes, he really wouldn't have known that the person in front of him was actually from the dark race. Furthermore, her gender was female. Did he want to be an undercover agent by his side? Yili thought that he had been targeted by the Dark Temple in the wasteland. Return to your original appearance, Yili said slowly to Chuan Ning. Chuan Ning was stunned. He looked at Yili blankly. Master, what did you say? Yili smiled. Do you think you can escape my eyes by changing your appearance and hiding your aura? You are a member of the dark race, right? You want to be an undercover agent by my side? Yili's handsome face revealed a playful look. As soon as he said this, Chuan Ning took 3 steps back and looked at Yili in shock. How did you know? Yili slowly said, don't ever try to lie to me. Don't try my patience. As expected of the Demon King Yili. How terrifying. Chuan Ning sneered. Immediately, Chuan Ning was wrapped in a dark aura and turned into what she should have been. A devastatingly beautiful woman appeared in front of Yili, but this woman was a little different from a human. Her face was blue with some strange patterns on both cheeks. Let me introduce myself. My name is Chuan Ling. I'm the first temple master of the Dark Temple in the Wasteland. Yili looked at Chuan Ling, whose realm was 5th-tier lord level. Although she was not as strong as Li Chengquan, a 5th-tier lord level dark race member was already at the top of the pyramid in the Wasteland. Yili thought that this was really interesting. The first temple master of the Dark Temple in the Wasteland actually wanted to be an undercover agent beside him. Demon King Yili, we've been paying attention to you for a long time. Chuan Ling looked at Yili and said. Yili smiled faintly. I really don't understand. Why did you, the first temple master of the Dark Temple, come to me as an undercover agent? Don't think that the Dark Temple is a fool. You have divine weapons. Of course, our goal is the divine weapons. We've also investigated you in the Northern Realm and found that you have 3 divine weapons, the Dragon-Slaying Blade, the Eastern Emperor Bell, and the Heavenly Tower. One secretly went to the Sword Sect's Sword Cave and found that the Shenyuan sword is no longer there. It must be in your hands too. Chuan Ling stared at Yili. Hearing this, Yili understood. The dark race members and zombies that besieged Sword City last time must be the masterpiece of your Dark Temple, right? Yili looked at Chuan Ling. Chuan Ling sneered. As expected of the Demon King Yili. You even saw through this. But one know far more than you think, Chuan Ling continued. For example? Yili looked at Chuan Ling. For example, you never used a divine weapon again, and the weapon in your hand became the Ancient Dragon Abyss Sword. We've investigated your Ancient Dragon Abyss Sword carefully. That sword is even more terrifying than a divine weapon. Therefore, we dare to guess that you must have used some method to fuse the Dragon-Slaying Blade, the Heavenly Tower, the Eastern Emperor Bell, and the Shenyuan sword into the Ancient Dragon Abyss Sword. Chapter 605, Shocking Secrets. Hearing this, Yili felt that he had underestimated the wisdom of the Dark Temple. You're right, but one still don't understand your purpose. Yili looked at Chuan Ling. Of course my purpose is the Ancient Dragon Abyss Sword in your hand, Chuan Ling said coldly. Yili smiled. Do you think you have such strength? No. Chuan Ling shook her head. That's why I chose to go undercover beside you and find a chance to steal your Ancient Dragon Abyss Sword. Why was the first temple master of the Dark Temple in the Wasteland so honest? Yili pondered for a few seconds and then asked Chuan Ling, one really want to know why you want to steal my Ancient Dragon Abyss Sword. If I tell you that I'm doing this for the Wasteland, do you believe it? Chuan Ling looked at Yili. Yili was stunned. He would never have thought that Chuan Ling would say such a thing. No one would believe that a member of the Dark Race said she did all these for the Wasteland. Demon King Yili, do you know why the Shenyuan sword turned into a pile of junk? Chuan Ling suddenly asked. Yili really didn't know the specific reason. The Shenyuan sword was once the weapon of a supreme human powerhouse in the Wasteland. After the outbreak of the zombie apocalypse, the Master of Darkness descended to the Wasteland. The supreme human powerhouse fought the Master of Darkness and used the weapon spirit of the Shenyuan sword to seal him in the end. But now, the sealing stone is gone, and the Master of Darkness will break through the seal at any time. At that time, the entire Wasteland will be plunged into misery and suffering. After Yili heard this, he felt that everything was a little dreamy. Of course, he knew that there must be more than one seal to seal the Master of Darkness. However, could the key seal stone be the star iron he auctioned at the black market auction in the East Bay City? It contained the weapon spirit of the Shenyuan sword. So you want to use the weapon spirit of the Shenyuan sword to seal the Master of Darkness again? Yili looked at Chuanling. That's right. Chuanling nodded. Upon hearing this, Yili's face showed a hint of confusion. But why did you do that? Doesn't the Master of Darkness belong to your dark temple? Chuanling looked at Yili. A few seconds later she said, because one don't want the wasteland to be plunged into misery and suffering. Are there good people in the dark race? Yili looked at Chuanling in surprise. There are good and bad humans. Why can't our dark temple have good and bad people? Chuanling asked. Yili really didn't know how to answer, but he knew that Chuanling wasn't lying to him. If he couldn't tell this, was he still the Demon King Yili? Where is the seal of the Master of Darkness? Show me, Yili said to Chuanling. Chuanling was shocked. Will you help me? Yili looked at Chuanling and said casually, is it strange? He'll take you there now, Chuanling said quickly. Then Chuanling began to lead Yili in one direction. This place was actually a sect. There was now a sect in the place where the Master of Darkness was sealed. This was interesting. Chuanling turned into a human beauty, probably afraid of causing unnecessary trouble. Demon King Yili, under the Infinity Sect, is the place where the Master of Darkness is sealed. Infinity Sect? Wasn't this the backer of the Yu family? Yili used the Heavenly Spirit eyes to investigate and found that the entire Infinity Sect was already completely enveloped by the dark aura, and there was a terrifying creature underground. Chapter 606. Tell your Infinity Sect to move to City H. This terrifying creature was struggling, looking extremely terrifying. System, can you extract the weapon spirit of the Shenyuan sword? Yili asked secretly. Host 1 can, but it's too late now. This Master of Darkness has the Heavenly Lord level strength. It won't be long before he breaks the seal. The Lord level was divided into the Heavenly Lord level and the Earth Lord level. The Heavenly Lord level strength was much more terrifying than that of Li Chengkuan. Even if Yili used all his strength, it was impossible for him to defeat a Heavenly Lord level member of the dark race. It's too late, Yili slowly said. Chuanling was stunned. Obviously she didn't understand what Yili meant. Too late for what? Even if I use the weapon spirit of the Shenyuan sword, I can't seal the Master of Darkness now. Chuanling was shocked and looked at Yili in shock. For some reason she believed that Yili didn't lie to her. She didn't know why she felt this way. Yili looked at the sun in the sky. This was probably the greatest challenge he faced after transmigrating to this parallel world. What should he do about the Heavenly Lord level member of the dark race? Give up the wasteland? Anyway, the wasteland had nothing to do with him. At most, he would let the girls return to the northern realm. But there were so many humans in the wasteland. Yili suddenly felt that his idea was ridiculous. Even a member of the dark race like Chuanling wanted to protect the wasteland. Chuanling was the first temple master of the dark temple in the wasteland. From her perspective she was good, but for humanity she was naturally considered bad. However, protecting the wasteland was no longer good or bad. Or rather, she wanted to protect her home, which didn't concern the standing. Then do we just see the wasteland being plunged into misery and suffering? Chuanling looked at Yili. Yili slowly said, believe me, one won't let that happen. Chuanling was stunned for a moment and then nodded. Okay, I believe you. Who are you? Do you know that this is the Infinity Sect? A sharp voice suddenly entered Yili and Chuanling's ears. Chuanling had turned into a human girl. Of course, these disciples of the Infinity Sect didn't know that Chuanling was a member of the dark race. More than a dozen disciples of the Infinity Sect appeared in front of Yili and Chuanling. Yili thought for a moment and felt that it was better to let the Infinity Sect evacuate from this place. Tell your sect master that all your Infinity Sect members should evacuate to City H, Yili slowly said. What? The dozen or so disciples of the Infinity Sect were all shocked. Who are you? Do you know the name of our Infinity Sect? Demon King Yili. Yili spoke slowly. As soon as he said so, only 2 afterimages were left on the spot. When the dozen or so disciples of the Infinity Sect saw this, they couldn't see Yili and Chuanling at all. What's going on? More than a dozen disciples of the Infinity Sect were stunned. They rubbed their eyes, feeling that they had seen wrongly. Come on, report to the sect master. Immediately, a dozen disciples of the Infinity Sect ran back like crazy. In the hall of the Infinity Sect. What? Baijan, the master of the Infinity Sect, was stunned. He looked at the dozen or so disciples in front of him. Is what you said true? Yes, sect master. Although Baijan wasn't a super powerhouse in the wasteland, he was still very strong. Demon King Yili? Could it really be the Demon King Yili? Baijan couldn't believe it. If it's really the Demon King Yili, why did he want our Infinity Sect to evacuate from this place? Chapter 607, Dark Temple in the Wasteland. The leader of the Infinity Sect, Baijan, was having an internal struggle. He didn't know if he should believe it or not. This Demon King Yili had nothing to do with the Infinity Sect. Why would he suddenly ask the Infinity Sect to evacuate to City H? After thinking for a few seconds, Baijan was still puzzled. Sect Master, Senior Sister Yu is back. A disciple walked into the hall of the Infinity Sect and said. Immediately Yumenjur walked in. Sect Master, I'm back. Yumenjur looked at Baijan and said. Baijan nodded. Menjur, Shire is cultivating in seclusion. Why don't you stay at home longer? The Shire Baijan was talking about was naturally his son, Yumenjur's fiancé Baishur. Sect Master, I think it's too boring to stay at home. One might as well use this time to cultivate more. Yumenjur said. Baijan nodded in satisfaction. Suddenly he thought of something and said to Yumenjur, Menjur, a disciple came to report just now that Demon King Yili asked our Infinity Sect to evacuate to City H. I really can't believe that a big shot like the Demon King Yili would appear in our Infinity Sect and even ask us to evacuate to City H. That's ridiculous. Hearing this, Yumenjur couldn't help but tremble. Sect Master, what did you say? Baijan was a little stunned. He didn't understand why Yumenjur was so shocked. Could it be? He suddenly thought of a shocking possibility, but he couldn't believe it. He really couldn't believe it. Yumenjur pondered for a few seconds and hesitated. After a while, Yumenjur finally mustered her courage and said to Baijan, Sect Master, I think it's very likely true because the Demon King Yili appeared in City H not long ago. As soon as he said this, Baijan was dumbfounded. A figure like the Demon King Yili was a suffocating existence in the entire wasteland. How could such a shocking figure appear in City H? It seems that, Baijan muttered to himself. Although he felt that everything was unbelievable, he didn't dare to take the risk. It was because the other party was the famous Demon King Yili. If this matter was true and his Infinity Sect didn't do as he said, it was very likely that the Infinity Sect would be razed to the ground in an instant. After pondering for a few seconds, the master of the Infinity Sect, Baijan, said in a low voice, The Infinity Sect will retreat to City H. Chuanling took Yili to a mountain. There was a huge dark castle on the mountain. Yili could imagine that the dark castle on the mountain was the Dark Temple of the Wasteland. Demon King Yili, this is the Dark Temple, Chuanling said to Yili. Yili had already guessed it. He nodded. Let's go up. Then Yili and Chuanling arrived at the Dark Temple. After arriving at the Dark Temple, the Dark Generals were all a little stunned. They really didn't understand why the first Temple Master brought a human back. Gather the 9 Temple Masters. Chuanling said to a member of the Dark Race beside her. Then Yili and Chuanling entered the hall. Yili looked around the hall and found that it was similar to the Dark Temple in the Northern Realm. Soon the 9 Temple Masters arrived. The 9 Temple Masters were all at the Lord level. When they looked at Yili, they were all stunned. Then they all looked at Chuanling. Obviously, they wanted Chuanling to give them an explanation. Sit down. Chuanling spoke to the 9 Temple Masters with the dignity of a queen. The 9 Temple Masters all sat down. Chapter 608 I said that, I guess you all want to know who he is, right? Chuanling said. The he Chuanling mentioned was naturally Yili. The 9 Temple Masters all nodded. Of course they wanted to know who Yili was. He is the Demon King Yili. Chuanling slowly said. What? The 9 Temple Masters were all shocked. They had heard the words Demon King Yili countless times. Since the battle in Sword City, they had been studying the Demon King Yili. In the end, the result of the research was that this guy was invincible. Even the leader of the 4 Weapons Hall, Li Chengquan, had been killed by his ancient dragon abyss sword. Who in the entire wasteland could be his match? The 9 Temple Masters immediately looked at Yili up and down, undoubtedly shocked. Are you shocked? Yili looked at the 9 Temple Masters indifferently. Of course, the 9 Temple Masters were shocked. Before they could speak, they heard Yili say again, Don't be shocked forever because everything one do will shock you for 3 days and 3 nights. As soon as he said this, a voice sounded in the hearts of the 9 Temple Masters at the same time. Is this Demon King Yili? Chuanling looked at the 9 Temple Masters and said, I invited Demon King Yili here to discuss how to deal with the Master of Darkness. Everyone knows that the Master of Darkness is about to break the seal and knows the strength of the Master of Darkness. The 9 temple masters fell silent when they heard this. Of course, they knew the strength of the Master of Darkness. If the Master of Darkness broke the seal, the entire wasteland would be plunged into misery and suffering. First Temple Master, although the Master of Darkness is very strong, he has been sealed for so many years. Our strength is not weak either. We might not. Before the 10th Temple Master finished speaking, he was interrupted by another Temple Master. A starving camel is still bigger than a horse. You should know how terrifying a Heavenly Lord level member of the Dark Race is. Immediately, the 9 Temple Masters began to argue. Obviously, the 9 Temple Masters didn't know that Chuanling had planned to go undercover by Yi Li's side. Yi Li didn't know what to do about this matter. The only way was to fight. Of course, the strength of our Dark Temple is not enough. We have to join forces with the strongest force in the wasteland, the Sword Sect, Chuanling said again. The eyes of the 9 Temple Masters lit up when they heard that. That's right. Why didn't they think of it just now? The Demon King Yi Li was the deputy sect master of the Sword Sect. With him around, the Sword Sect would definitely not be a problem. Then the Sword Sect would gather all the strong masters in the wasteland. In this way, their chances of winning would be much higher. Demon King Yi Li, look. Chuanling looked at Yi Li. Okay. Yi Li nodded. There's no time to lose. Let's go to the Sword Sect now, Yi Li said again. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Li and Chuanling left the Dark Temple and headed for the Sword Sect. Sword Sect, Sword Palace. At this moment, there were 2 girls in the Sword Hall. On both sides sat the 9 Peak Masters, and directly above them sat the Sect Master of the Sword Sect, Gao Feng. These 2 girls were none other than Yu Ling and Yu Qian. You said that the Deputy Sect Master asked you to be my disciple and the other girl to be a disciple of a Peak Master? Gao Feng looked at Yu Ling and Yu Qian in surprise. Yes, Sect Master. Yes, Yi Li said that, Yu Ling said, but it was obvious that she wasn't confident enough. Gao Feng and the 9 Peak Masters looked at each other in bewilderment, wondering if this was true. Before Gao Feng finished speaking, a familiar voice entered everyone's ears. Yes, I said that. Chapter 609. If you don't leave now, you'll regret it. Gao Feng and the 9 Peak Masters were shocked. They took a closer look and saw a man and a woman suddenly appear in the hall. Of course, this man and woman were Yi Li and Chuanling, Deputy Sect Master. Gao Feng and the 9 Peak Masters hurriedly shouted. Now Yi Li was the mainstay in the Sword Sect. It's urgent. I'll make it short. Blah blah blah. Yi Li told Gao Feng and the 9 Peak Masters what had exactly happened. What? Everyone in the hall gasped and looked at Yi Li dumbfounded. Yu Ling and Yu Qian froze on the spot like clay sculptures. For them, Yi Li's words just now were enough to suffocate them. Deputy Sect Master, are you serious? Gao Feng looked at Yi Li in shock. Do you think he'll lie to you? Yi Li said lightly. Gao Feng and the 9 Peak Masters' hearts began to beat rapidly. For them, such a thing was undoubtedly a bolt from the blue. Then what should we do now, Deputy Sect Master? Asked Gao Feng. Do what we can do. Yi Li only said several words, but the words were spoken with vigor. By the way, ally with the strong masters in the wasteland and ask them all to come to the Sword Sect, Yi Li said to Gao Feng. Gao Feng nodded. Got it, Deputy Sect Master. 111 Do it immediately. The news that the Master of Darkness had broken the seal didn't spread because they all knew that if such news spread, the wasteland would undoubtedly be in chaos. Yi Li stayed in the Infinity Sect for 10 days. In the past 10 days, he kept prying with the heavenly spirit eyes and found that the seal was getting looser and looser. In a month at most, the Master of Darkness would break the seal. Do you know that this is the territory of the Infinity Sect? An abrupt voice entered Yi Li's ears. Yi Li's handsome face was as calm as water. This person was only a 10th tier transcender. Yi Li had already known him when he was very far away from him. However, he was unwilling to care. A 10th tier chosen one was naturally pitifully weak in front of Yi Li. A middle-aged man appeared behind Yi Li. The middle-aged man was tall and strong, exuding a majestic aura. Seeing that Yi Li ignored him, the middle-aged man couldn't help but be angry. Answer me. The middle-aged man shouted at Yi Li. Leave. You will regret it if you don't leave now. Yi Li said slowly, but he didn't turn around. The middle-aged man was none other than the sect master of the Infinity Sect, Bai Zhan. It had been days since he had retreated to City H with the people of the Infinity Sect. These days he had been thinking that nothing had happened. Why would Demon King Yi Li ask his Infinity Sect to retreat to City H? He felt that he had been deceived. Baijan came back to see if the Infinity Sect had been occupied. It was true that someone was really in the Infinity Sect. Hey, you're quite arrogant. Do you know who 1am? Baijan looked at the thin figure in front of him in disdain. Yi Li slowly turned around, his face still as calm as water. Looking at Yi Li's handsome face, Baijan was a little stunned because Yi Li was too young, but his eyes were unforgettable. His eyes were as serene as the night and as profound as the ocean. Who are you? For some reason, Baijan suddenly felt a deep sense of oppression. Chapter 610, Do you know what fear is? Yi Li looked at Baijan indifferently and slowly said, If one told you that 1am the Demon King Yi Li, would you believe me? Baijan was shocked. He would never have thought that Yi Li could say such a thing. After the shock, Baijan stared at Yi Li. You said you are the Demon King Yi Li? Baijan said coldly. Baijan smiled in disdain. Although he didn't know why there was a deep sense of oppression just now, he knew that the person in front of him couldn't be the Demon King Yi Li. This was because the Demon King Yi Li was a renowned supreme existence in the wasteland. Since he was a supreme existence, how could he be so young? Okay, stop lying. Tell me quickly that you are not the Demon King Yi Li. A mocking look appeared on Baijan's face. Yi Li smiled faintly. He thought that the person in front of him was interesting. I repeat, leave here quickly. Don't make me say it a third time. Yi Li looked at Baijan. Baijan was furious when he heard this. He thought to himself, how dare he say such arrogant words in my territory? This is really intolerable. Brat, I'm the master of the Infinity Sect. Baijan roared. Yi Li's handsome face was as calm as water without any fluctuations, as if he didn't hear anything at all. Baijan was stunned. He had thought that the person in front of him would be scared out of his wits if he revealed his identity, but he never expected such a situation. Aren't you afraid? Baijan was stunned. Afraid? Yi Li smiled faintly. Since he transmigrated to this world, he didn't know what fear was. Do you know what fear is? Yi Li's handsome face revealed a playful look. Baijan was shocked. This sentence should have been said by him. How could it have been snatched by the person in front of him? Suddenly, Baijan was furious to the extreme. Although he was not a powerhouse standing at the top of the pyramid, he had his own strength. Brat, ask me if I know what fear is. 111, let you know now. Baijan roared. As soon as he finished speaking, Baijan punched Yi Li. The power of a punch from a 10th tier transcender could be imagined. To Baijan's surprise, Yi Li had no intention of dodging at all. He just stood where he was, with a look of disdain on his face. Baijan sneered. He knew that as long as he punched out, there would never be such a person in this world again. Boom. Without a doubt, Baijan's punch landed on Yi Li. Unfortunately, things didn't happen as Baijan had imagined. Baijan had been shocked countless times since he was born, but this time was the most shocking. This was because not only did Yi Li not die, but he didn't even take half a step back. Baijan's pupils couldn't help but constrict. How is this possible? Baijan shouted, his face full of horror. His punch didn't cause any damage to the person in front of him. This was simply terrifying. Yi Li slowly shook his head. He didn't understand why everyone was so shocked when facing him. It seems that you don't make me feel any fear. Yi Li looked at Baijan indifferently. Hearing these words, Qin Yun was truly terrified, as if his soul had left his body. Chapter 611. Baijan was horrified. Baijan could swear that he had never been so afraid since he was born. He looked at Yi Li in horror, only to find that Yi Li had already raised a finger. What do you want? Baijan almost peed his pants. As the master of the Infinity Sect, Baijan, who was a 10th tier transcender, was really about to pee his pants. Yi Li thought for a few seconds and then said to Baijan, One don't want to do anything. One just want you to feel true fear. This finger was entangled by terrifying white spiritual energy. Baijan felt that all his strength was almost drained. There was nothing but fear on his face. White spiritual energy. Heaven-defying level genetic talent. Baijan wanted to beg for mercy. He really wanted to beg for mercy, but there was no chance. Yi Li's finger had already fallen. How could this finger be described with words? Oh. Baijan screamed in fright. He knew that he would disappear from this world forever. Unfortunately, he missed something. Yi Li didn't want to kill him at all. After all, Baijan was a 10th tier transcender. Now that the war in the wasteland was about to begin, a 10th tier transcender was naturally very important. The annihilation finger stopped when it was only a step away from Baijan's head. Baijan opened his eyes and swallowed. His body was already drenched in cold sweat. How could he be given a second chance? He would definitely hide far away. This was simply terrifying. Yili looked at Baijan indifferently and slowly said, "Now, do you know what fear is?" Got it, got it." Baijan hurriedly replied. Baijan's entire body was trembling violently. Just now he felt the arrival of death. He knew very well that he couldn't provoke this person in front of him, or he would undoubtedly die. Suddenly Baijan's pupils were constricted. He thought of something shocking. The person in front of him had told him just now that he was the Demon King Yili, but he didn't believe it. But now, he was a 10th tier transcender, and the strength Yili showed. Demon King Yili, Demon King Yili. This was the Demon King Yili. Baijan was about to cry. "Demon King, I failed to recognize you just now. Please forgive me." Baijan looked at Yili in horror. "Didn't one ask you to retreat to City H? Why are you back? Do you think I, Yili, am lying to you, or do you Infinity Sect not take my words seriously at all?" Yili said indifferently to Baijan. Baijan couldn't help but turn pale with fright. He looked at Yili in horror. "Master Demon King 111 just want to come back to take a look." "Alright, let's go to the Sword Sect." "To the Sword Sect?" Baijan was a little stunned. He didn't understand what Yili meant. "Master Demon King, why do you want me to go to the Sword Sect?" Baijan asked in confusion. "Didn't Gao Feng summon you?" Yili looked at Baijan. Before he came to the Infinity Sect, he had asked Gao Feng to gather all the strong masters in the wasteland. As a 10th tier transcender, Baijan was certainly on the list. Baijan didn't dare to continue asking. He thought that since the Demon King asked him to go to the Sword Sect, there must be a reason. As soon as he took a step forward, Yili stopped him. "Wait." Baijan's body trembled. He turned around and looked at Yili in shock. "Master Demon King, is there anything else?" Chapter 612. Skill Fusion Heaven-Severing Sword. Yili looked at Baijan indifferently. "You and I are fated," Yili slowly said. As soon as he finished speaking, Yili bought a defensive armor from the Point Mall called Green Armor. This armor is called Green Armor. After you wear it, your defense power will increase several times. Baijan was stunned. He would never have thought that such a scene would happen. He had thought that he would disappear from this world forever, but he didn't expect the Demon King to give him such a terrifying treasure. Baijan felt that his hands were trembling. He took the green armor from Yili's hand shakily and gently stroked it. Immediately Baijan put on this green armor. "Lord Demon King, my life is yours from now on. If you want me to, I can go to the Knife Mountain or even the Oil Pan." Baijan's eyes were firm. With that, Baijan left. Yili sighed. Every day he thought that it should be enough for Gao Feng to gather all the strong masters in the wasteland. The Dark Temple should have also gathered the powerful Dark Race members from all over the wasteland. Now he was just waiting for the Master of Darkness to break through the seal. Suddenly, Chuanling, the Master of the Dark Temple, appeared beside Yili. "Demon King Yili, how is the seal on the Master of Darkness recently?" Chuanling asked Yili. "The seal is getting more and more unstable. It will be broken in a month at most," Yili replied. Chuanling looked worried when she heard that. She wasn't sure if the human powerhouses and members of the Dark Race in the wasteland could defeat the Master of Darkness. After all, no one knew how terrifying the strength of a Heavenly Lord-level Dark Race member was. It was getting closer and closer to the day when the Master of Darkness broke through the seal. These days Yili had been guarding the Infinity Sect. At the same time he was also cultivating on the 7th floor of the Heavenly Tower in the Ancient Dragon Abyss Sword. Ding. "Congratulations to the host for becoming a Tier 4 Chosen One." The system's voice suddenly sounded in Yili's ears. "Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a super treasure chest." Yili thought that he had finally become the chosen one of the Tier 4 Chosen Ones and obtained a super treasure chest. It was really not bad. Without thinking too much, Yili opened the super treasure chest. Received 5,000 gene points, 5,000 strength points, 5,000 speed points and 5,000 defense points. Obtained a skill fusion opportunity. Yili was stunned. Skill fusion? His 4 skills were already at the heaven-defying level. Could it be that there was a skill stronger than the heaven-defying level? However, since he had obtained the skill fusion opportunity, he might as well give it a try. Immediately, Yili chose to fuse the Demon God Domineering Fist, the Annihilation Finger, the Heaven-Shaking Sword Technique and the Sky Fiend Sword Technique. Ding. Skill fusion begins. 10%, 30%, 60%, 100%. Skill fusion completed. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a divine-level skill, Heaven-Severing Sword. Heaven-Severing Sword, a god-level technique. With a single slash, it can shake the heavens and earth, and it's one of the strongest slashes in the world. Looking at the introduction of the Heaven-Severing Sword, Yili was a little stunned. This was too terrifying. Ding. Do you want to practice the Heaven-Severing Sword technique? Yes. 10%, 30%, 60%, 100%. You've successfully cultivated the Heaven-Severing Sword. Ding. The ancient dragon Abyss Sword embryo has been upgraded to the 5th level. At this moment, the system's voice appeared in Yi Li's mind again. Yi Li's handsome face lit up. The ancient dragon Abyss Sword embryo went from the 3rd level to the 5th level so quickly? But what Yi Li didn't expect was that such a thing had happened before the Master of Darkness broke the seal. One wave hadn't settled yet, but another one rose. Chapter 6:13. Someone from the Four Weapons Hall came. A disciple of the Sword Sect ran into the Hall of the Infinity Sect. Deputy Sect Master. Deputy Sect Master. The Sword Sect disciple's voice trembled as if he had experienced the most terrifying thing in history. What is it? Yi Li asked. He could tell that something must have happened. The people from the Four Weapons Hall have arrived at the wasteland. The Sect Master wants you to go back. The disciple said in shock. Chengquan Broadsword Master Li Chengquan was one of the Hall Masters of the Four Weapons Hall. When Li Chengquan came to the wasteland, no one in the Four Weapons Hall knew. Li Qianquan's life card must have been burnt. The Four Weapons Hall had been investigating and finally found the wasteland. As long as they reached the wasteland, it wouldn't be long before they found the Sword Sect. After all, everyone in the wasteland knew about the battle between the Sword Sect and the Heavenly Blade Sect. Let's go. Immediately Yi Li and the disciple of the Sword Sect walked towards the Sword Sect. Soon Yi Li arrived at the Sword Palace. In the Sword Palace, Gao Feng and the 9 Peak Masters had already arrived. Seeing Yi Li, they hurriedly got up. Deputy Sect Master. Gao Feng and the 9 Peak Masters shouted at Yi Li. Deputy Sect Master, since Li Chengquan died, we have had people at the border. Now that the people from the Four Weapons Hall have entered the border, we don't know who came. Gao Feng looked at Yi Li and went straight to the point. Yi Li thought that this was definitely not good news. Deputy Sect Master, what should we do now? Gao Feng looked at Yi Li. Where are they now? Yi Li asked. The Void City at the border. Gao Feng replied. Yi Li pondered for a few seconds and said to Gao Feng, don't worry about this matter. Let me meet them. Immediately Yi Li activated the swift steps and disappeared from the Sword Hall. Void City. At the junction of the Wasteland and the Mystic Land. This was a small city, and there were no zombies or dark race members outside. When Yi Li arrived at the Void City, he used the Heavenly Spirit Eyes to test the strong masters in the Void City. Suddenly he was shocked. 12 6th-tier Chosen Ones. 12 6th-tier Chosen Ones. Needless to say, this was a terrifying power. Yi Li slowly walked over. He must take care of this matter well. Otherwise, if these 12 6th-tier Chosen Ones went to the Sword Sect, the consequences would be unimaginable. This was a restaurant whose decoration was quite luxurious. After Yi Li walked into the restaurant, he looked at the 2 tables not far away from him from the corner of his eye. He knew that these 12 people were the 12 6th-tier Chosen Ones of the Four Weapons Hall. I didn't expect the Hall Master of the Blade Hall to die in a small place like the Wasteland. That's right. Who would have thought that there was a peerless powerhouse in the Wasteland? He actually killed Chengquan Broadsword Master. Humph, who cares who he is? Whoever offends the Four Weapons Hall will be crushed in an instant. The 12 6th-tier Chosen Ones of the Four Weapons Hall were discussing. My lords, are you all warriors? A middle-aged man asked. A 6th-tier Chosen One looked at the middle-aged man who spoke and found that he was an ordinary person. What's the matter? The 6th-tier Chosen One asked. My lords, I heard you mention Chengquan Broadsword Master just now. I'm afraid you are not from the Wasteland. Chengquan Broadsword Master Li Chengquan was killed by Demon King Yi Li a few months ago. What? The 12 6th-tier Chosen Ones were all shocked. Chapter 6:14. Right in front of your eyes, Demon King Yi Li? The name Demon King Yi Li was completely unfamiliar to them. Yi Li listened on the side. There was no surprise on his handsome face. He knew that as long as the people from the Four Weapons Hall came to the Wasteland, they would definitely find out. Who is the Demon King Yi Li? A 6th-tier Chosen One shouted. Demon King Yi Li is the Deputy Sect Master of the Sword Sect. The Sword Sect is now The middle-aged man was interrupted by a sudden voice. The sword sect is now the strongest force in the wasteland. The 12 sixth-tier chosen ones of the Four Weapons Hall were all stunned. They all looked in the direction of the voice, only to see a very handsome young man. This young man was naturally Yi Li. Where is the sword sect? A sixth-tier chosen one looked at Yi Li and asked. I don't have to tell you, Yi Li said lightly. When the 12 sixth-tier chosen ones heard this, they were all stunned. They had never met anyone who dared to refute them. Brat, do you know who we are? A sixth-tier chosen one looked at Yi Li coldly. Everyone in the restaurant looked over in unison. Not only do one know who you are, but one also know why you are here. Yi Li slowly said. As soon as he said this, the 12 sixth-tier chosen ones were all stunned. Brat, tell me about it, said a sixth-tier evolved being. Yi Li pondered for a few seconds and then said, You are from the Four Weapons Hall. You came to the wasteland to avenge Li Chenkuan. When the 12 sixth-tier chosen ones of the Four Weapons Hall heard this, they couldn't help but be dumbfounded. As for the people in the restaurant, they all froze like clay sculptures. This was the Four Weapons Hall. Brat, how did you know? A sixth-tier chosen one stared at Yi Li. The Demon King Yi Li told me, Yi Li said lightly. What? Hearing this, the people in the restaurant were even more shocked. The name Demon King Yi Li was an absolutely terrifying existence to them. Do you know the Demon King Yi Li? A sixth-tier chosen one stared at Yi Li. Yi Li nodded. Not only do one know him, but am also very familiar with him. Hearing this, the 12 sixth-tier chosen ones all looked at each other and smiled. It really didn't take them much effort to find what they wanted. Since you know where the Demon King Yi Li is, tell us. A sixth-tier chosen one said to Yi Li. Everyone in the restaurant also stared at Yi Li. Yi Li's handsome face was calm as he slowly said word by word, right in front of your eyes. What? Hearing this, everyone in the restaurant jumped up in fright and looked at Yi Li in horror. The 12 sixth-tier chosen ones of the Four Weapons Hall were also shocked. They looked at Yi Li and said coldly, Are you the Demon King Yi Li? Yi Li smiled faintly. That's right. 1 a.m. The Demon King Yi Li. Since you are the Demon King Yi Li, you deserve to die too. As soon as he said so, a sixth-tier heavenly chosen one held a goose-tailed trident and slashed at Yi Li. This slash cut the entire restaurant in half. The people in the restaurant couldn't escape in time, and there were countless casualties. Yi Li activated the swift steps to dodge the attack and stood in midair. If you want to kill me, come on. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Li disappeared. Chapter 6:15. Fighting 12 sixth-tier chosen ones. The 12 sixth-tier chosen ones hurriedly chased after him. Although they were all sixth-tier chosen ones and Yi Li was only a fourth-tier chosen one because of the swift steps, Yi Li kept a certain distance from these people. Yi Li activated the swift steps and went to a place which was the Infinity Sect. After arriving at the Infinity Sect, Yi Li stood above the Infinity Sect. Not long after, the 12 sixth-tier chosen ones of the Four Weapons Hall arrived. They stared at Yi Li. Demon King Yi Li, what else do you have to run for? You have no way out. Are you going to surrender, or do you want us to take action? In the eyes of the 12 sixth-tier chosen ones, Yi Li was already a dead person. Yi Li smiled faintly. Do you really think you can kill me? The 12 sixth-tier chosen ones were stunned. They really didn't understand what Yi Li meant. With so many of them, wouldn't it be easy for them to deal with a mere tier 4 chosen one? Wait a minute. They suddenly thought of something. It was Demon King Yi Li who killed Chenkuan Broadsword Master. Chenkuan Broadsword Master was an 8th tier chosen one. Could it be that Demon King Yi Li had something to rely on? Then the 12 6th tier chosen ones shook their heads again. No matter what he relied on, he would definitely die today. Demon King Yi Li, since you don't surrender, we'll have to take action. Attack. As soon as he said so, the 12 chosen ones of the 6th tier charged at Yi Li. These 12 6th tier chosen ones were all elders of the Four Weapons Hall and were extremely powerful. Sky-severing sword. Yi Li raised the ancient dragon abyss sword high and said coldly word by word. As soon as he finished speaking, the sword fell. On the ancient dragon abyss sword, an extremely terrifying sword light shot at the 12 6th tier chosen ones. The 12 6th tier chosen ones were all a little shocked. They would never have thought that Yi Li could launch such a terrifying attack. They began to resist with all their strength. Boom! A violent explosion sounded. The 12 6th tier chosen ones were all panting, but they were not injured. As expected of the Demon King Yi Li, he can actually launch such a terrifying slash. A 6th tier chosen one looked at Yi Li coldly. Yi Li smiled faintly. If you come over again, one don't mind giving you another such slash. As soon as he said this, the 12 sixth-tier chosen ones were really stunned. They didn't expect Yi Li to say such a thing. They were really a little scared. For a moment, the 12 sixth-tier chosen ones really didn't dare to go over. Yi Li's spiritual energy was also recovering rapidly. He was waiting for a moment. On the second day, the 12 sixth-tier chosen ones and Yi Li were still confronting each other. They stared at Yi Li. Demon King Yi Li, do you really think we are afraid of you? A sixth-tier chosen one looked at Yi Li coldly. Since you're not afraid, come, Yi Li said slowly. The 12 sixth-tier chosen ones all charged at Yi Li at an extremely fast speed. Sky-severing sword. Yi Li slashed out the heaven-severing sword again. The 12 sixth-tier chosen ones resisted with all their strength again. In the end, they successfully blocked the power of the heaven-severing sword. Chapter 6:16. Master of Darkness. The 12 sixth-tier chosen ones looked at Yi Li coldly. Yi Li's slash was too terrifying. What's there to be afraid of? Such a slash is probably a god-level skill. I don't believe he can use it a second time. A sixth-tier chosen one said coldly. That's right. Let's attack. Suddenly, the 12 sixth-tier chosen ones all went towards Yi Li again. Yi Li could actually launch a second slash, but they didn't expect it. Sky-severing sword. Having no choice, the 12 sixth-tier chosen ones could only be beaten back again. The 12 sixth-tier chosen ones were all a little frightened. How was it possible that such a slash could be launched twice in a short period of time? They were right. Ordinary genetic warriors naturally couldn't release such an attack twice. Unfortunately, Yi Li wasn't an ordinary genetic warrior. For a moment, the 12 sixth-tier chosen ones didn't dare to go forward. God knew if Yi Li could still launch such a slash. Seeing that the 12 sixth-tier chosen ones had no intention of attacking again, Yi Li activated the heavenly spirit eyes to pry into the ground. The Master of Darkness was attacking the seal, which was about to disappear. It seemed that the Master of Darkness was about to break out. He had underestimated the strength of the Master of Darkness. He had thought that it would take at least 5 days for the Master of Darkness to break the seal. Now it seemed that he was wrong. Boom! In an instant, the earth trembled. The entire Infinity Sect was instantly reduced to dust. The 12 sixth-tier chosen ones were shocked and quickly looked around. The ground kept sinking and a huge dark race member appeared in their vision. This member of the dark race was a giant octopus. It looked really terrifying. The tentacles were crackling with lightning. Yi Li looked at this member of the dark race. This was the Master of Darkness. The 12 sixth-tier chosen ones of the Four Weapons Hall were not very lucky because they were right under the Master of Darkness now. All? Suddenly, shrill screams sounded in Yi Li's ears. The 12 sixth-tier chosen ones were instantly annihilated. Yi Li looked at the Master of Darkness. To be honest, he didn't know how to defeat the Master of Darkness. At this moment, Chuanling arrived with her men. As the Master of the Dark Temple in the Wasteland, Chuanling was naturally the first to bear the brunt. Beside her were Gao Feng and a group of powerhouses. Chuanling was the one who initiated this battle against the Master of Darkness. Human Dark Race members. The Master of Darkness seemed to be stunned. He didn't expect humans and the members of the Dark Race to be together. Yi Li also released the Apocalypse Legion. This battle concerned the entire wasteland. Die all of you. The tentacles of the Master of Darkness began to move towards everyone at an astonishing speed. Some weak genetic warriors were instantly electrocuted to death. Swish! Yi Li slashed out with the ancient dragon abyss sword. However, the defense of the Master of Darkness was too high and no one could cause any damage to him at all. Roar! The Master of Darkness kept roaring. More genetic warriors and members of the Dark Race fell. The strength of a Heavenly Lord-level member of the Dark Race was too terrifying. Sky-severing sword. Yi Li used the heaven-severing sword, but he still couldn't cause any damage to the Master of Darkness. Then, Yi Li fused the Apocalypse Legion but still couldn't cause any damage to the Master of Darkness. More and more humans and Dark Race members fell, and a gruesome scene appeared in front of Yi Li. Chapter 6:17. Fusion with the real Apocalypse Legion. Host, if you want to defeat the Master of Darkness, you have to truly fuse all the members of the Apocalypse Legion. At this moment, the system's voice appeared in Yi Li's mind. Truly fuse? But don't worry, host. Even if you really fuse with them, the members of the Apocalypse Legion won't die, but their remnant souls will be scattered all over the world. Hearing the system's words, Yi Li fell silent. All? The screams were still coming into Yi Li's ears. Yili looked at the miserable scene in front of him. More and more humans and dark race members fell. A few seconds later, Yili gritted his teeth and said coldly, "Fuse system. Fusion of the Apocalypse Legion begins, 10%, 30%, 60%, 100%. The Apocalypse Legion has successfully been fused." As soon as the system finished speaking, Yili's entire body began to turn red. 5th tier chosen one. 6th tier chosen one. In the end, Yili became a sky opener. A sky opener was comparable to a heavenly lord-level warrior. Gao Feng, Chuan Ling and the others felt the change in Yili and looked at him in shock. Yili looked at the Master of Darkness coldly. This time, in order to defeat the Master of Darkness, he had lost too much. Although he could still find the Apocalypse Legion back, who knew how long it would take? "Human, you are very strong." The Master of Darkness looked at Yili coldly. Yili didn't say anything. He raised the ancient dragon abyss sword high and said coldly, "Sky-severing sword." The power of this sword shook the sky and the earth. The originally bright sky became dim. The sky was cracking and the ground was cracking. It seemed to be the real post-apocalyptic world. The sword light hit the Master of Darkness heavily. Roar. The Master of Darkness began to roar violently. Suddenly, the Master of Darkness began to break into pieces, and in the end, it let out a shocking explosion. Sword chi swept across 30,000 kilometers, and a sword light swept across the 9 prefectures. Success. Success. The Master of Darkness is dead. Whether it was humans or members of the dark race, they began to laugh. There was no change in Yili's handsome face at all. He was not happy but only calm, terrifyingly calm. After returning to the Sword Sect, Yili knew that what he had to do now was to find the remnant souls of the Apocalypse Legion. System, how can I find the remnant souls of the Apocalypse Legion? Host, humans have 3 souls and 7 spirits and zombies are no exception. Now the 3 souls and 7 spirits of the Apocalypse Legion have been scattered all over the world, so you can only rely on luck. Besides, they are not souls but still zombies. They just don't recognize you anymore. You have to gather their 3 souls and 7 spirits and synthesize them again. The system's meaning was obvious. He could only try his luck. Yili didn't stay in the Sword Sect for long. Instead, he headed for the Mystic Land. The Mystic Land was bigger and stronger than the Wasteland. As soon as he entered the Mystic Land, the system's voice entered Yili's ears. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a heaven-grade skill, the Divine Spirit 9 Heaven Sword. Heaven-grade skills were not attractive to Yili, but fortunately the skills Yili obtained could be upgraded. Without thinking too much, Yili cultivated the Divine Spirit 9 Heaven Sword. In the vast Mystic Land, it was extremely difficult to find the Apocalypse Legion. Yili lowered his realm, thinking to join a sect first, which would be more convenient for him. At this moment he was in a small city which looked a little prosperous. Not long after he arrived at the small city, he heard a horrified shout. "Run, zombie!" Chapter 618. Hongyes Remnant Soul? Suddenly, more than 20 level 1 zombies pounced over. The humans in this small city were all ordinary people. At least, Yili hadn't seen a single warrior yet. For ordinary people, zombies were extremely terrifying. Roar. Roar. Humans kept turning into zombies. It was a tragic sight. Immediately, a group of human genetic warriors appeared in front of Yili. These human genetic warriors were all awakened beings. It had been a long time since Yili saw an awakened being. More than 20 zombies were only level 1 ordinary zombies. They had no chance of winning against a dozen awakened zombies. Soon, more than 20 zombies were eliminated. Leading this group of awakened beings was a girl. The girl was very beautiful and there was a hint of pride on her fair face. Alas, it's been 3 waves. Yes, this is already the 3rd zombie tide. After all, there is a tier 2 zombie in Lon City. Sister Kier, I heard that the tier 2 zombie is a female zombie in red, and she's extremely beautiful. Hearing this, Yili was startled. A female zombie in red? Could it be Hongya? Yili was overjoyed. He had planned to join a sect first, but, however, before he confirmed it, had better not be happy too early. Then Yili walked to the girl. "Hello, may I ask where the female zombie in red is?" Yili looked at the girl and asked. The girl's name was Baiku, the daughter of the head of the Bai family, the largest family in Lon City. She was a level 6 awakened being. A level 6 awakened being was already an advanced awakened being, but he was still far away from becoming an evolved being. Baiku was stunned. She looked at Yili up and down. Then she was shocked. She was shocked by Yili's appearance. Yili was too good-looking. She didn't know that there was such a good-looking person in this world. However, after Baiku calmed down, she was a little confused. Why are you asking the female zombie in red? Baiku looked at Yili in confusion. Well, she might be a friend of mine, so, what? Before Yili finished speaking, he was interrupted by Baiku. You said that the female zombie in red might be your friend? Baiku exclaimed. Not only Baiku but everyone from the Bai family behind her was also stunned. Was it okay to be friends with a zombie? Yili was a little embarrassed. He realized that he had said something wrong. Just tell me where the female zombie in red is. Yili looked at Baiku. I don't know. A few days ago, a Tier 2 female zombie in red suddenly came to the wilderness of Lan City. This female zombie in red is extremely strong. She soon commanded the zombies in the wilderness of Lan City. In the past 2 days alone, there have been 3 waves of zombie tides. One don't know when it will end. Baiku said to Yili. A few days ago. Hearing this, Yili was more and more sure that the female zombie in red was one of Hongye's 3 souls and 7 spirits. In that case, take me to the female zombie in red, Yili said to Baiku. Baiku was shocked. She didn't understand what was wrong with Yili. No one will stop you if you want to die. Don't drag me down with you. Baiku stared at Yili and said. She was only a level 6 awakened being, and the female zombie in red was a Tier 2 zombie. There was an insurmountable gap in strength between them. It's a pity that you're not qualified to refuse me, Yili slowly said. Chapter 619. Find the female zombie in red. Baiku was stunned. She didn't expect Yili to say such a thing. She was the young lady of the Bai family and a level 6 awakened being, but he actually said that she wasn't qualified to refuse him? The Bai family genetic warriors behind Baiku were also furious. They stared at Yili. Brat, do you know who you are talking to? A level 4 awakened being said coldly. Yili didn't want to talk too much to these people. He teleported, took Baiku's hand, activated the swift steps and disappeared. All the awakened beings were shocked. They would never have thought that Yili and Baiku would suddenly disappear. Come on. Go back and report to the family head. They knew that Yili, who could suddenly disappear with Atis, was definitely not an ordinary person. Yili took Baiku to a random place and stopped. At this moment, Baiku was so frightened that she looked at Yili in shock. How can you have such speed? Baiku looked at Yili in horror. Take me to the female zombie in red, Yili said slowly. Baiku was shocked. What if I don't take you there? As soon as she said so, a thick book behind her broke. Hearing this noise, Baiku quickly turned around. Seeing the broken tree in front of her, her entire body trembled. Before she could speak, she heard Yili say slowly, Your fate will be the same as this tree's. Baiku swallowed. Seeing this, she already knew that she was definitely no match for Yili. Or rather, she didn't dare to imagine what realm Yili was in. Okay, I'll take you to the female zombie in red, Baiku said. Then Baiku took Yili to find the female zombie in red. Yili was more and more certain that the female zombie in red was Hongye. He couldn't wait to find her. The two of them were on a mountain, which blotted out the sun and made it difficult for sunlight to enter. Roar, roar. The roars of a group of zombies entered Yili's ears. These zombies were eating the corpse of a tiger, which looked disgusting. There were more than 20 zombies in this group, led by a level 7 zombie. A level 7 zombie was already an advanced zombie, 1 level higher than Baiku. Seeing this scene, Baiku's pupils were quickly constricted, and her originally fair face became even paler. What should we do? Baiku looked at Yili for help. To her surprise, Yili's face was as calm as water, as if he didn't see anything. Roar, roar. Suddenly these zombies rushed towards Yili and Baiku. Baiku took 3 steps back in fright and looked at the attacking zombies in shock. However, the zombies suddenly turned into nothingness. Baiku's pupils were constricted again. She was stunned. She didn't see Yili attack at all. Why were all the zombies dead and turned into nothingness? Baiku couldn't imagine how terrifying Yili was. Let's go, Yili said slowly. With that, Yili slowly walked out. When Baiku came back to her senses, Yili had already walked 10 steps away. Baiku could only quickly follow him. My lord, in fact, I really don't know where the female zombie in red is. Baiku caught up with Yili and said to him. Yili's handsome face didn't change at all. You will find a way to know. Chapter 620. Hongye. Hearing this, Baiku didn't continue to speak. She had no solution. However, the person in front of her was too terrifying. She had never seen such a terrifying genetic warrior. Baiku thought that Yili should be a high-leveled evolved being. My lord, I only know that the last place the female zombie in red appeared was on this mountain. If we're lucky, the female zombie in red might still be on the mountain. Yili's face was still as calm as water. He activated the heavenly spirit eyes to investigate everything in the mountain. Roar, roar. Suddenly, zombies' terrifying roars entered his ears again. More than 60 zombies pounced at Yili and Bai Ling. These zombies were like hungry ghosts, which was really shocking. Seeing this, Baiku quickly looked at Yili, only to find that Yili's face was still as calm as water. Seeing this, Baiku seemed to have forgotten her fear. Words couldn't describe the shock in her heart. Wouldn't this person be afraid? There were more than 60 zombies. Swish. More than 60 zombies melted into nothingness again. Silence, a deadly silence. Baik's eyes widened for the largest time ever, and her mouth fell open. She could swear that this was the most shocking moment since she was born. More than 20 zombies suddenly melted just now, and now more than 60 zombies melted again. There were more than 60 zombies here. Is this the strength of a high-leveled evolved being? Baiku asked in a daze. Roar. Suddenly, a female zombie in red appeared in front of Yili and Baiku with hundreds of zombies. Seeing this scene, Baiku couldn't help but be shocked. She quickly looked at Yili. She didn't believe that Yili wasn't afraid. But then she was stunned. She was really stunned. She actually saw Yili smiling. This was 100 times more terrifying than him being calm. She couldn't imagine why Yili could still smile at this moment. Yili looked at the female zombie in red. As he expected, this female zombie in red was really Hongya. However, Hongya wasn't in her complete form now, so she certainly didn't know Yili. Roar. As Hongya roared, hundreds of zombies charged at Yili. Yili slowly raised his finger and countless terrifying white spiritual lights flew over. Hundreds of zombies melted into nothingness again. Shocking, absolutely shocking. Baiku was speechless. She had thought that she had been most shocked since she was born just now. But it wasn't until now that she realized that she was not only wrong but completely wrong. This Hongya was just one of Hongya's 3 souls and 7 spirits. She was now a tier 2 zombie. Although she had some intelligence, she couldn't speak yet. Roar. Hongya roared and rushed towards Yili. Yili smiled faintly. Hongya is still the same Hongya. She's really hot-tempered. System, how can I subdue Hongya's remnant soul? Host, just put Hongya into the system space. Hearing the system's words, Yili nodded. Immediately, Yili extended a hand and grabbed Hongya. How could Hongya react to such a speed? Baiku was shocked. She had already thought that the female zombie in red was vulnerable in front of Yili, but when she really saw it, she was still horrified. Then Yili put Hongya into the system space. Chapter 621. Corpse Sect. Baiku looked at Yili in a daze, and her fair face was even more shocked. She didn't expect Yili to use some divine technique to make the female zombie in red disappear. Yili checked Hongya in the system space, thinking that this was a good start. Come on. Come on. An abrupt voice entered Yili's ears. More than 20 genetic warriors rushed over and surrounded Yili and Baiku. These genetic warriors were all awakened beings, and there was only one evolved being. Uncle. Baiku shouted at the Tier 1 evolved being among them. This Tier 1 evolved being was about 40 years old. His name was Bai Bao and he was Baik's eldest uncle. Seeing that Baiku was fine, Bai Bao heaved a sigh of relief. Kier, did this person kidnap you? Uncle, actually. Before Baiku finished speaking, Bai Bao looked at Yili coldly and said, Brat, how dare you? Have you eaten a bear's heart or a leopard's gall? When Baiku heard Bai Bao's words, she was almost frightened out of her wits. She knew very well how terrifying Yili was. If they offended Yili, the Bai family would be razed to the ground in an instant. No, uncle, I came with him voluntarily, Baiku said quickly. Bai Bao was stunned to hear that. He looked at Baiku in surprise and then at Yili. Kier, is what you said true? Yes, uncle. How dare I lie to you? Yili listened to the conversation between Bai Bao and Baiku. He was naturally not interested at all. He also didn't want to talk to these ants. In his eyes, a Tier 1 evolved being was really pitifully weak. The zombie in red took the zombies in this direction just now. There's someone ahead. Several voices entered everyone's ears. They followed the voice and found a dozen men in gray robes running over. Seeing this, the pupils of everyone in the Bai family were constricted. It's the Corpse Sect, Bai Bao exclaimed. More than a dozen men were all Tier 2 evolved beings. They arrived in front of the Bai family. Did you see a Tier 2 female zombie in red just now? A Tier 2 evolved being of the corpse sect said coldly. No, no. Bai Bao quickly replied. Yili looked at the Tier 2 evolved beings of the corpse sect in front of him. He had just heard Bai Bao mention the corpse sect, but he didn't know what the corpse sect was. Why are you looking for the female zombie in red? Yili slowly asked. More than a dozen Tier 2 evolved beings of the corpse sect were stunned when they heard this. A Tier 2 evolved being looked Yili up and down and then said disdainfully to Yili, "We are from the corpse sect. Why are you asking us why we're looking for the female zombie in red?" Ha 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 ha. More than a dozen Tier 2 evolved beings of the corpse sect all laughed out loud as if they had never heard such a funny joke. The genetic warriors of the Bai family also found it ridiculous. In the more than 10 cities around Lan City, everyone knew what the corpse sect was. All? Suddenly, a scream made the laughter of more than a dozen Tier 2 evolved beings of the corpse sect stop abruptly, replaced by horror. They looked at the corpse on the ground. It was the person who answered Yili just now. Well, they didn't see Yili attack at all, but how could the corpse on the ground be explained? Answer me. Yili slowly opened his mouth. When the remaining dozen or so Tier 2 evolved beings of the corpse sect heard this, they were all shocked because since Yili could say such a thing, it meant that the corpse on the ground was his doing. Chapter 622. Go back where you belong. The people from the Bai family were even more frightened. A Tier 2 evolved being had died just like that? This was a Tier 2 evolved being. Suddenly, two more screams sounded. Two Tier 2 evolved beings of the corpse sect fell to the ground with their eyes wide open. Answer me. Yili slowly opened his mouth. The remaining Tier 2 evolved beings of the corpse sect were utterly scared. They really didn't understand how Yili did it. Corpse sect is the largest sect in the surrounding 12 cities. We caught the female zombie in red to refine her and make her work for us. A Tier 2 evolved being replied in horror. Yili nodded and didn't say anything. Ding. Congratulations, host, for obtaining a chance to draw a random prize. Yili used the chance to draw the lottery without hesitation. The virtual pointer began to spin in the roulette wheel, and a few seconds later the pointer stopped. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the soul summoning banner. Soul summoning banner. As long as the host finds any of the 3 souls and 7 spirits of a zombie in the Apocalypse Legion, you can summon the other souls and spirits with the soul summoning banner. Looking at the introduction of the soul summoning banner, Yili's handsome face lit up. Without thinking too much, he began to use the soul summoning banner to summon Hongye's souls and spirits. The soul summoning banner is being used, IO%, 30%, 60%, IO%. The soul summoning banner has been successfully used. Suddenly Hongye's 3 souls and 7 spirits came to Yili from all directions. The genetic warriors of the corpse sect and the Bai family were horrified. Yili took out the soul of Hongye in the system space and immediately began to synthesize these souls and spirits. In the end, Hongye's complete body appeared in front of Yili. Master, I thought Hongye looked at Yili happily. After the remnant souls of the Apocalypse Legion dispersed throughout the world, they didn't think they would become the Apocalypse Legion again. Hongye, has anyone told you that you've become even prettier? Yili looked at Hongye indifferently. All? Hongye was stunned. She never dreamed that Yili would say such a thing. The genetic warriors of the corpse sect and the Bai family took 3 steps back, as scared as they could be. This zombie could talk? However, they remembered that this female zombie in red was only a Tier 2 zombie. How could she speak? Only zombies of Tier 4 and above could speak. They couldn't see Hongye's 3 souls and 7 spirits when Yili synthesized them. My lord, are you also from the corpse sect? Baiku looked at Yili in shock. Yili smiled faintly. Do you think such a small force can afford me, Yili? As soon as he said this, Baiku stopped talking. As for the remaining 8 Tier 2 evolved beings of the corpse sect, a strange expression appeared on their faces. My lord, if there's nothing else, well, take our leave first. A Tier 2 evolved being of the corpse sect said respectfully to Yili. Where are you going? Yili asked casually. Return to the corpse sect? The Tier 2 evolved being asked in shock. Yili was silent for a few seconds. Then he looked at the Tier 2 evolved beings of the corpse sect and said, I think you'd better not return to the corpse sect. Go back to where you should go. As soon as he said this, the 8 evolved beings of the corpse sect were all stunned. But my lord, we are from the corpse sect. If we don't return to the corpse sect, where can we go? You should go back to Hal. As soon as he finished speaking, the 8 Tier 2 evolved beings of the corpse sect died. Chapter 623, Coming to the Bai family, what? When the genetic warriors of the Bai family saw this scene, they were so frightened that they fell to the ground and looked at the corpse on the ground in horror. Just like before, they didn't see how Yi Li attacked at all. If possible, they would rather believe that it was fake. But the corpse on the ground told them that all of this was true. Are you very afraid? Yi Li looked at the genetic warriors of the Bai family indifferently. When the genetic warriors of the Bai family heard this, they became even more afraid. Never be afraid, because everything one do will make you terrified for 3 days and 3 nights, Yi Li continued. Bai Ku was shocked and looked at Yi Li in shock. My lord, our Bai family didn't offend you. Please let us go. Yi Li smiled when he heard that. He had never thought of doing anything to the Bai family's genetic warriors. He killed the people of the corpse sect because he thought that they would tell others what happened today when they went back. Then a group of tasteless flies would come to annoy him. He naturally did not want to see such a situation. I won't kill you. Yi Li looked at Bai Ku and said slowly. Really, senior? Bai Ku looked at Yi Li blankly. Yi Li smiled. Do you think I, Yi Li, need to lie to you? As soon as he said this, Bai Ke's heart that was in her throat relaxed. She knew that a strong master like Yi Li usually kept his word. He'll go to your Bai family to stay for the next 2 days, Yi Li said lightly. He had found Hongya. He didn't know the locations of the other zombies in the Apocalypse Legion. At the same time, he knew that such a thing couldn't be rushed. When the Grand Elder of the Bai family, Bai Bao, heard Yi Li's words, he couldn't help but gasp. If such a ferocious god lived in the Bai family, what would the Bai family face? But Bai Bao knew that he couldn't refuse Yi Li. Otherwise, their Bai family would be doomed. Immediately, Yi Li and the genetic warriors of the Bai family headed for the Bai family. The Bai family was the largest family in Lan City. Most of the people in Lan City were ordinary people. It was really a pitifully weak city, hundreds of times weaker than Anan Bay City. The current Hongya was a Tier 1 Lord-level zombie. In the eyes of these genetic warriors of the Bai family, Hongya was a human. When Yi Li arrived at the Bai family, everyone in the Bai family who hadn't seen Yi Li before looked at him in shock. They didn't know why the Grand Elder brought Yi Li back. Uncle, who is he? A level 3 awakened being looked at Bai Bao in confusion. Everyone from the Bai family also looked at Bai Bao, wondering who this handsome young man was. Clap. Unexpectedly, not only did Bai Bao not answer, but he also slapped the level 3 awakened being who asked the question hard. The level 3 awakened being was stunned. He had no idea what was going on. How can you ask about the Lord's name? Retreat. Bai Bao shouted angrily. Lord. No one in the Bai family would have thought that their uncle would call this young man Lord. Suddenly, they thought of a shocking possibility. This handsome young man in front of them must be very strong. Otherwise, uncle would never have called him Lord. My lord, do you want to see the family head? Bai Bao looked at Yi Li carefully. No. Yi Li slowly said. The head of the Bai family was weaker than an ant in his eyes. It was meaningless to see him. Chapter 624. These humans are so weak. Everyone in the Bai family felt that Yi Li was very arrogant. This was the Bai family's territory, and he didn't even take the head of the family seriously. Yi Li naturally noticed the anger on the faces of the people from the Bai family, but he didn't care at all because in Yi Li's eyes they were just ants. Bai Bao and the others were at a loss. With an existence like Yi Li around them, they felt an unprecedented pressure. Master, these humans are so weak. Hongya looked at Yi Li and said. It can't be helped. This world is like this. There are both the strong and the weak. Yi Li slowly said to Hongya. Hearing this, the people of the Bai family were even more furious, their eyes full of anger. Our Bai family is the strongest martial family in Lan City. Who dares to say that our Bai family is weak? An abrupt voice entered everyone's ears. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice, and a middle-aged man walked over majestically. It's second uncle. The middle-aged man who walked over was the second elder of the Bai family, named Bai Lang, a Tier 1 evolved being. Bai Lang looked at Yi Li and Hongya coldly. He really didn't know why Yi Li dared to say those words just now. As the strongest martial family in Lan City, whoever dared to say such a thing was no different from committing suicide. When Grand Elder Bai Bao and Bai Ku heard this, they immediately trembled. They hurriedly looked at Yi Li in shock and were relieved to find that there was no fluctuation on Yi Li's face. Second brother, this is Lord Yi. Don't be rude. Grand Elder Bai Bao scolded Bai Lang. Bai Lang sneered. What lord? It's just a boy and a girl. What realm can they be in? Hearing this, Bai Bao gasped in fright. He really wanted to slap Bai Lang. If they angered Yi Li, the Bai family would be expelled from Lan City in the future. They had all seen Yi Li's strength. With such strength, it would be easy for him to deal with the Bai family. How dare you speak to my master like this? You're unforgivable. Hongye frowned and was about to attack. Yi Li knew that as long as Hongye attacked, the Bai family would be razed to the ground in an instant. Hongye. Yi Li stopped Hongye. Hearing Yi Li call her, Hongye stopped. Brother, do you see it now? They don't have any strength at all. Bai Lang seemed to really understand. He actually looked smug. Shut up. Bai Bao roared at Bai Lang. Yi Li looked at Bai Lang indifferently. The tree seeked stillness, yet the wind persisted. He wanted to teach this Bai Lang a lesson. Otherwise, he wouldn't have known who he was talking to. Bai Lang was about to say something disdainful, but before he could say anything, he was sent flying. Everyone in the Bai family was stunned and looked at Yi Li in horror. I didn't want to lower myself to the level of a mere evolved being, but you just seek death. Yi Li slowly said. Bai Lang's internal organs were damaged. His face was full of dust and he vomited a mouthful of blood. It seemed that he was seriously injured. My lord, my second uncle didn't know how powerful you are. Please forgive him. Bai Ke looked at Yi Li pleadingly. It wasn't until now that the people of the Bai family finally understood why the Grand Elder, Bai Bao, called this person Lord. They didn't see how Yi Li attacked at all and Bai Lang was sent flying. It should be noted that the second Eider, Bai Lang, was a Tier 1 evolved being. Chapter 625. Please save the Bai family. My lord. Yi Li looked at Bai Ke. He didn't want to lower himself to the level of a useless person like Bai Lang at all. Everyone from the Bai family looked at Yi Li in horror. They didn't see how Yi Li attacked just now, but the second elder, Bai Lang, was sent flying. Splurt. Suddenly, the second elder, Bai Lang, vomited another mouthful of blood. As a Tier 1 evolved being, how could Bai Lang not be seriously injured by Yi Li's blow? Yi Li looked at Bai Lang on the ground indifferently and secretly shook his head. Why were there always so many useless people who liked to provoke him? Then Yi Li slowly raised his palm, and a gentle white spiritual light entered Bai Lang's body. The people from the Bai family naturally didn't know what genetic talent white spiritual energy meant. After all, Lan City was too weak, so they could only look at Yi Li in horror. They thought Yi Li attacked Bai Lang again. But to the surprise of the people of the Bai family, second elder Bai Lang's pale face turned red. I am fine? Bai Lang got up from the ground, confused. Everyone from the Bai family widened their eyes. They had thought that Yi Li would attack Bai Lang again, but they didn't expect this scene. Suddenly, they thought of a shocking possibility. Just now, Yi Li emitted a white spiritual light, which was transmitted to the body of the second elder, Bai Lang, and then Bai Lang was fine. In other words, Yi Li saved Bai Lang. Thinking of this, everyone from the Bai family was dumbfounded. Bai Lang thanked the Lord. Bai Bao scolded Bai Lang. Bai Lang trembled when he heard that. He clearly remembered that he didn't see Yi Li attack at all just now, but he was sent flying. With such strength, he couldn't imagine what realm Yi Li was in. Thank you, my lord. Bai Lang looked at Yi Li and said respectfully. Yi Li's handsome face didn't change at all. He didn't answer Bai Lang. At this moment, a middle-aged man walked in from outside the Bai family's gate. The middle-aged man was wearing a black suit, his face pale gold. Why are you all gathered together? The middle-aged man was none other than the head of the Bai family, Bai Lin, a Tier 2 evolved being. The family head is here. The people from the Bai family hurriedly made way for Bai Lin. Seeing the family head, Grand Elder Bai Bao quickly walked to Bai Lin and whispered something to him. Bai Lin's pupils dilated as if he had heard something unbelievable. What? Is he really so terrifying? Hearing Grand Elder Bai Bao's words, Bai Lin couldn't help but exclaim. Of course, Yi Li heard the conversation between Bai Bao and Bai Lin clearly, but he didn't care at all. Bai Lin slowly walked to Yi Li and looked at him in shock. My lord, can you save the Bai family? Bai Lin looked at Yi Li pleadingly. Yi Li's face was as calm as water. He didn't reply. He knew that Bai Lin had something else to say. Seeing that Yi Li didn't speak, Bai Lin pondered for a few seconds and continued. A few days ago, one said something wrong and offended the people of the Rocky Mountain. He asked me to go to the Rocky Mountain to kowtow and apologize. I've tried to use all my connections to solve this, but no one dares to help me. I'm the head of the Bai family after all. If I really go to the Rocky Mountain to kowtow and apologize, how can our Bai family still survive in Lan City in the future? Chapter 626. Rocky Mountain. Hearing Bai Lin's words, Yi secretly smiled. What does the Bai family's matter have to do with me? Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a chance to draw the lottery. At this moment, the system's voice sounded in Yi Li's mind. Yi Li didn't think too much about it. He used this chance to draw the lottery. Then, the virtual pointer began to spin in the roulette wheel. A few seconds later, the pointer stopped. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a super treasure map. Yi Li showed a playful smile on his face, thinking that it had been a long time since he obtained a super treasure map. He activated this super treasure map, and the coordinates appeared in his mind. Rocky Mountain? Yi Li thought that it was too much of a coincidence. The location of this super treasure map was actually on the Rocky Mountain. Seeing that Yi Li still didn't speak, the head of the Bai family, Bai Lin, and the others looked disappointed. What force is the Rocky Mountain? Just when the people of the Bai family were disappointed, Yi Li suddenly asked. Hearing this, everyone in the Bai family looked at Yi Li. My lord, the Rocky Mountain is a sect where people with various motives gather. They are all genetic warriors with ill intentions, but the Rocky Mountain is much stronger than our Bai family. Rocky Mountain gave my Bai family 10 days. If I don't go to the Rocky Mountain to kowtow and apologize to them in these 10 days, my Bai family will be doomed. Yi Li didn't say anything else. He activated the swift steps and disappeared. Where is Lord Yi? Everyone in the Bai family was shocked. They really didn't expect Yi Li to suddenly disappear. What kind of divine technique was this? Yi Li activated the swift steps and headed for the Rocky Mountain. The speed of the swift steps was too fast now. Soon he arrived at the Rocky Mountain. He looked at the Rocky Mountain. This Rocky Mountain was indeed full of rocks. These stones were exceptionally unique in their formation, resembling reclining tigers and standing blades. It didn't look like a sect, but more like a bandit village. Yi Li released Hongya from the system space. After Hongya came out of the system space, she looked around blankly. Master, what is this place? Hongya asked Yi Li. Yi Li smiled and slowly said, This is the Rocky Mountain. We're here to find treasures. Treasures? Hongya naturally didn't know what the treasures Yi Li mentioned were. Then Yi Li and Hongya began to walk to the gate of the Rocky Mountain. When the dozen or so genetic warriors guarding the door saw Yi Li and Hongya, they immediately became vigilant. Stop. What are you doing? These dozen or so genetic warriors were all above level 6 awakened beings. However, they were just gate guards, which showed that this sect was still much stronger than the Bai family. Does your Rocky Mountain have any treasures? Yi Li looked at the level 6 awakened being who spoke. As soon as he said this, a dozen people from the Rocky Mountain were stunned. They didn't expect Yi Li to say such a thing. Brat, are you crazy? A level 6 awakened being said coldly to Yi Li. Hey, this girl is so beautiful. A level 6 awakened being looked at Hong Yu and said. Immediately, more than a dozen awakened beings guarding the gate laughed. You'd better not provoke her. She has a bad temper. Yi Li slowly said. Brat, we are from the Rocky Mountain. So what if she has a bad temper? An awakened being said proudly. As the saying went, heaven may forgive those who make mistakes unwittingly, but those who deliberately create their own misfortune cannot be saved. Chapter 627. The Stone Axe on the Top of the Rocky Mountain, all. Suddenly, more than a dozen genetic warriors guarding the gate all fell to the ground. It was a tragic sight. Yi Li looked at the corpse on the ground and shook his head slowly. I told you not to provoke her. Why didn't you believe me? Let's go, Hongya. Let's go in and find treasures. With that, Yi Li and Hongya walked in. A genetic warrior was killed at the mountain gate, which was naturally noticed by Rocky Mountain. Not long after Yi Li and Hongya walked into the gate, dozens of genetic warriors holding knives and spears surrounded Yi Li and Hongya. What are you doing? Do you know that this is Rocky Mountain? A Tier 2 evolved being said coldly to Yi Li and Hongya. Yi Li smiled faintly, his handsome face as calm as water. I don't want to do anything. I just heard that there are treasures in your Rocky Mountain, so I'm here to take them, Yi Li said slowly. As soon as he said this, the dozens of genetic warriors were all stunned. There was a treasure in the Rocky Mountain? Why didn't they know? Brat, I think you're courting death. Even if our Rocky Mountain has treasures, how can a petty person like you touch them? The Tier 2 evolved being said coldly. At this moment, dozens of genetic warriors holding knives and spears surrounded Yi Li and Hongya. In their eyes, Yi Li and Hongya were already dead. Yi Li shook his head slightly and slowly said, It's fine if you let me take away the treasure today, but if not, 111 crush you in an instant. When the dozens of genetic warriors heard this, they were all dumbfounded. They had seen arrogant people, but they had never seen anyone as arrogant as Yili. They were already surrounded, but they were still so arrogant. Who was besieging whom? Brat, since you insist on looking for someone, don't blame us. Attack. As the Tier 2 evolved being gave the order, dozens of genetic warriors rushed towards Yili. These people were basically awakened beings. Yili really didn't know how to describe their weakness. In an instant, dozens of genetic warriors who were attacking him fell to the ground. Their eyes were wide open, and they clearly died with remaining grievances. Well, a warm current flowed out from between the legs of the Tier 2 evolved being. The Tier 2 evolved being swore that he had never seen such a terrifying scene since he was born. Dozens of genetic warriors were instantly killed, and he remembered that it was the girl in red who did it. Wuxia was a Lord-level zombie. As a Tier 2 evolved being, how could he tell that Wuxia was a zombie? I said that I would crush you in an instant. Why didn't anyone believe me? Yili shook his head and said, "Thud." The Tier 2 evolved being knelt in front of Yili with a thud and begged for mercy. My lord, spare me. My lord, spare me. Yili looked at the Tier 2 evolved being and slowly said, Now can you tell me what treasures there are in the Rocky Mountain? Grandpa, there are really no treasures on the Rocky Mountain. The only treasure is a stone axe. That's a stone axe on the top of the Rocky Mountain, but it's just a stone axe. The Tier 2 evolved being didn't dare to hide anything and hurriedly revealed everything he knew. The stone axe on the top of the Rocky Mountain? What was that? Yili thought for a moment and couldn't figure it out. What's going on? Suddenly, another group of genetic warriors ran over angrily. Chapter 628. A fragment of the Pangu axe. More than 50 genetic warriors rushed over, led by a Tier 4 evolved being. This Tier 4 evolved being was the leader of the Rocky Mountain Tuer. Looking at the corpse on the ground, Tuer's pupils couldn't help but constrict. What's going on? When the Tier 2 evolved being saw his leader, he hurriedly got up from the ground and rushed to Tuer's side. Leader blah blah blah. The Tier 2 evolved being told Tuer everything. When Tuer and the 50-odd genetic warriors behind him heard this, they all gasped in fright and looked at Wuxia in horror. Did you kill all these people? The Tier 2 evolved being only saw Wuxia attack just now, not Yili. After only a few seconds, dozens of genetic warriors were all killed. Wuxia certainly wouldn't talk to Tuer. That's right. She killed these people. You can leave now, Yili said slowly. Who are you? Tuer looked at Yili coldly. It doesn't matter who I am. What matters is that if you don't leave now you will die. Hearing this, Tuer and the others were all furious. Their Rocky Mountain had never suffered such humiliation. Leader, the woman in red is powerful, but I'm afraid this person is not that strong. Let's ask our brothers to restrain the woman in red and capture this kid. A Tier 2 evolved being said to Tuer in a low voice. Yili's hearing was astonishing, so he naturally heard their conversation. His handsome face couldn't help but reveal a playful smile. Tuer nodded and said in a low voice, Let's do that. Brothers, kill them. As soon as Tuer gave the order, more than 50 genetic warriors rushed over. Tuer and the Tier 2 evolved being rushed towards Yili. Yili looked at Tuer and the Tier 2 evolved being who were rushing over and shook his head. Was it really not good to be alive? It seemed that living was indeed a very painful thing for them. Otherwise they wouldn't have rushed at Yili. In that case Yili could only grant them death. Tuer and the Tier 2 evolved beings arrived in front of Yili. They suddenly attacked Yili, preparing to capture him. Unfortunately, they were all wrong about one thing. This was enough to make their lives disappear from this world forever. Oh. Tuer and the Tier 2 evolved being let out shocking screams. They didn't believe that they had died just like that. At the last moment of their lives, Yili saw their regret. They had thought that they could catch Yili, but unfortunately that was just what they thought. Wuxia had also killed more than 50 genetic warriors. Hundreds of corpses looked really creepy. Let's go to the top of the Rocky Mountain. Yili spoke slowly, his handsome face expressionless. Then Yili and Wuxia went to the top of the Rocky Mountain. Soon the two of them arrived at the top of the Rocky Mountain. The top of the Rocky Mountain was like an altar, with a big stone axe erected in the middle. Yili looked at the stone axe, wondering if this thing was a treasure on a super treasure map. This was too trashy. Ding. A fragment of Pangu axe has been detected. Host, please pick it up. Suddenly the system's voice sounded in Yili's ears. Yili was stunned. He looked at the stone axe in front of him. Is this a fragment of the Pangu axe? Chapter 629. Obtained a super treasure map again immediately. Yili walked to the stone axe and was about to pull it out. To his surprise, the stone axe was very heavy. However, Yili's strength was shockingly great now. If the heavens had handles, he could pull down the sky. If the earth had handles, he could lift up the earth. In the end, Yili pulled up the stone axe. In an instant, the stone axe broke. Boom! The power of lightning hit the stone axe, which was instantly broken. A black axe appeared in Yili's hand. Is this the fragment of the Pengu axe? Yili muttered to himself. Host, there are still 2 other fragments of the Pengu axe. As long as the other 2 fragments of the Pengu axe are synthesized, the complete Pengu axe will reappear. Hearing the system's words, Yili looked a little bored. Having no choice, he put the fragments of the Pengu axe into the system space. Yili thought that he had nowhere to go now and would go to the Bai family for the time being. Then Yili and Hongya went to the Bai family. Yili was a chosen one, and Hongya was a lord-level zombie. Both of them were shockingly fast. They were literally flying in the air. Soon the 2 of them returned to the Bai family. Everyone from the Bai family was shocked to see Yili and Hongya. My lord, I thought you wouldn't come back. Bai Ku looked at Yili in shock. Yili's face was as calm as water without any fluctuations. At this moment, the head of the Bai family, Bai Lin, also came out. He looked at Yili and hurriedly asked, My lord, I wonder. Before Bai Lin finished speaking, Yili interrupted him. Don't worry. The Rocky Mountain no longer exists in this world. Yili slowly said. He thought that since he was in the Bai family now, he might as well do something for the Bai family. Hearing Yili's words, everyone in the Bai family couldn't help but gasp. In this world, the Rocky Mountain no longer existed? In other words, Rocky Mountain had been destroyed? But that was Rocky Mountain. Everyone from the Bai family looked at Yili in horror. They couldn't believe it. But they knew that a powerful figure like Yili would never lie to them. Bai Ku was also extremely shocked. She looked at Yili, only to find that Yili's handsome face was still as calm as water. Did such a person really exist? Bai Ku rubbed her eyes, but Yili told her that such a person did exist. The next day at dawn. Zombie Treasure Chest 11. The system prompt appeared in Yili's mind on time. Yili opened the zombie treasure chest. 500 gene points, 500 strength points, 500 speed points, 500 defense points. Acquired Super Treasure Map 11. Yili showed a playful smile. He had obtained another Super Treasure Map. Who could believe this? After fusing the attribute points he had obtained, Yili opened the Super Treasure Map. Ding. Super Treasure Map activation in progress. 10%, 30%, 60%, 100%. The Super Treasure Map has been successfully opened. As soon as the system finished speaking, some coordinates appeared in Yili's mind. Corpse Mountain? Yili had never heard of this name. My lord, bad news. A panicked voice entered Yili's ears. Chapter 630. Your fate can be summarized with only one word. Bai Ku ran in, her fair face full of panic. My lord, something bad has happened. Bai Ku looked at Yili in panic. Yili slowly said, There's nothing to panic about. Tell me what it is. The people of the corpse sect are here. Corpse sect? Yili smiled. It was just a small force. Did she have to be so afraid? Then Yili slowly walked out of the room, followed by Bai Ku. When the 2 of them came to the yard, they found more than a dozen genetic warriors of the corpse sect standing in the yard. Almost all of them were Tier 2 evolved beings, and the leader was a Tier 3 evolved being. More than a dozen people from our corpse sect died in Yurlan City. Except for your Bai family, one don't think anyone can do it, right? The Tier 3 evolved being said coldly to Bai Lin. Cold sweat had already appeared on Bai Lin's forehead. He hurriedly said, My lord, you must be joking. You've seen the strength of our Bai family. How can we have the strength to do such a thing? I think it should be the Rocky Mountain. Before Bai Lin finished speaking, he was interrupted by the Tier 3 evolved being. We've been to the Rocky Mountain. The Rocky Mountain is already empty. The Tier 3 evolved being stared at Bai Lin and said coldly, Well, one killed your people. An abrupt voice entered the ears of the people of the corpse sect. They were shocked and looked in the direction of the voice in unison, only to find a handsome young man walking over. The Tier 3 evolved being looked at Yili coldly. Did you kill our people? That's right. Yili nodded. Very good. Do you want to know what will happen to you? The Tier 3 evolved being stared at Yili. What will happen to me? Yili pondered for a few seconds, then looked at the Tier 3 evolved being and said, Why don't I tell you what happened to you first? Oh. A playful look appeared on the face of the Tier 3 evolved being. Tell me what will happen to me. The Tier 3 evolved being continued. Die. Yili slowly said. As soon as he said so, a shocking bloody hole appeared on the forehead of the Tier 3 evolved being. What? Everyone from the Bai family and the genetic warriors of the corpse sect gasped. They didn't even see how Yili attacked. Why are there always people looking for trouble with me? Yili shook his head and looked at the Tier 3 evolved being. Everyone from the corpse sect looked at Yili in horror. They didn't see Yili attack at all, but their captain was gone just like that. This was a Tier 3 evolved being. Yili's handsome face didn't change at all. He looked indifferently at the dozen or so genetic warriors of the corpse sect in front of him. Everyone present, stay here for today. When the dozen or so genetic warriors of the corpse sect heard this, they were shocked. They only had one thought in their minds, which was to escape. Unfortunately, even if they had 10 legs, they couldn't escape from Yili. More than a dozen genetic warriors of the corpse sect let out screams. They all fell to the ground with their eyes wide open. Perhaps they didn't know how they died until they died. There was still no change in Yili's handsome face. He looked at Baiku and said indifferently, "Before I leave, I'll give you a gift." As soon as he finished speaking, Yili opened the system space and bought a purple genetic enhancement potion. The purple genetic enhancement potion could upgrade a person's genetic talent to S grade. Chapter 631. Came to the corpse sect. Baiku looked at the genetic potion in Yili's hand in a daze. "My lord, what is this?" Baiku asked in confusion. "This is a potion to improve your genetic talent. Drink it and your genetic talent will become S grade," Yili said slowly. As soon as these words were spoken, the pupils of the Bai family could not help but constrict. Upgrade Baikesh genetic talent to S grade? One had to know that S-class genetic talent only existed in legends. Baiku was also stunned. She took the gene potion from Yili's hand in a daze. She knew that Yili would not lie to her. Immediately, Baiku drank the purple gene enhancement potion. As soon as she drank it, Baiku felt a wave of heat all over her body. She hurriedly sat down cross-legged and refined the genetic enhancement potion in her body. Everyone from the Bai family looked at Baiku. A moment later, Baiku opened her palm, and a ball of purple spiritual energy appeared. Wasn't the purple spiritual energy corresponding to the S-grade gene talent? Although the Bai family knew that Yili wouldn't lie to them, when they really saw the purple spiritual energy in Baike's hand, they were shocked again. "Thank you, my lord." Baiku looked at Yili happily. Yili's handsome face was as calm as water. He said slowly, "Cultivate well. We'll meet again if fate allows." With that, Yili activated his swift steps and disappeared from the scene. The coordinates of the super treasure map were the corpse mountain, but Yili still did not know what the corpse mountain was. Was it a mountain? Or a sect? Following the coordinates, Yili and Hongye soon arrived at the foot of the corpse mountain. Corpse mountain was a black mountain with a deathly aura. There were no flowers or trees. Standing here was a little suffocating. Roar, roar. What Yili didn't expect was that there were many zombies at the foot of the mountain. However, these zombies were all very low-leveled. Hundreds of zombies rushed towards Yili and Hongye. "Hongye," Yili called out to Hongye. Hongye instantly disappeared on the spot. Hundreds of ordinary zombies were no match for Hongye. In just a few seconds, hundreds of zombies fell to the ground. Yili used the synthesis grid in his mind to synthesize these zombies. He obtained a level 8 male zombie and a level 8 female zombie. After putting the level 9 male zombie and the level 9 female zombie into the system space, Yili prepared to go up the mountain with Hongye. Before he could take a step, he heard a stunned voice. "Where are the zombies at the foot of the mountain?" "We gathered hundreds of zombies at the foot of the mountain, but they seem to have disappeared now. There's someone there." Suddenly, more than 10 genetic warriors in gray robes ran over. When Yili was in Lan City, he had also seen genetic martial artists in gray robes. It was more than once. Of course, they were genetic warriors from the corpse sect. More than 10 genetic warriors from the corpse sect arrived in front of Yili and Hongye. "What are you doing? Where are the zombies at the foot of the mountain?" A Tier 3 evolved being shouted sternly. His intuition told him that the disappearance of the hundreds of zombies at the foot of the mountain was related to the man and woman in front of him. "The zombies you're talking about are mine now," Yili said lightly. The dozen or so genetic warriors from the corpse sect were stunned when they heard this. Then they stared at Yili. "Could it be that you also know the secret technique to control zombies?" The Tier 3 evolved being said coldly. Yili shook his head slightly. I don't know about the secret technique. Move aside. They'll go to your corpse mountain to find something. He thought that the treasure on the super treasure map might be another fragment of the Pangu axe. Chapter 632. She didn't seem human. The dozen or so genetic warriors from the corpse sect were shocked again. The man in front of him had just said that the hundreds of zombies at the foot of the mountain had become his zombies. There were hundreds of zombies. Could this person be a high-leveled evolved being? Moreover, he said he wanted to go up Corpse Mountain to find something. What do you take the corpse sect for? Hurry up and tell me, where did you lure hundreds of zombies to? If you don't tell me, you should know what will happen to you. The rank 3 evolved being stared at Yili's mouth. Hongya, Yili called out to Hongya. Hongya naturally understood what Yili meant. Roar. In an instant, these dozen or so genetic warriors from the corpse sect died with wide-open eyes. Yili looked at the corpses on the ground and couldn't help but shake his head. Why does no one believe me? Without much hesitation, Yili and Hongya headed towards the corpse mountain. Yili and Hongya arrived at the main hall of the corpse sect in an instant. There were people sitting on both sides in the corpse sect's main hall, with a grim-looking old man sitting on the throne above. They were discussing something. Seeing Yili and Hongya suddenly appear, they were stunned. They were all high-leveled evolved beings, but they did not notice the sudden appearance of these two people in the hall at all. Thinking of this, everyone in the corpse sect's main hall was shocked. Who are you? A 7th-tier evolved being stood up and questioned Yili and Hongya coldly. Yili's handsome face was as calm as water, and Hongya's fair face was as cold as ice. It was as if they didn't care about these people at all. You won't know me even if I tell you. I came to the corpse sect just to find an axe, Yili said slowly. An axe? The dozen or so people in the corpse sect's main hall were stunned. They did not expect Yili to say such a thing. Are you talking about the stone axe at the top of the mountain? The 7th-tier evolved being asked again. As Yili had expected, he guessed that the treasure on the super treasure map was a Pangu axe fragment. He did not expect it to be true. Before Yili could speak, a Tier 1 evolved being ran in terror. Something bad has happened, Sect Master. When everyone in the hall heard this, they stood up from their seats. What happened? Zhang Tong, the leader of the corpse sect, hurriedly asked. The hundreds of zombies at the foot of the mountain are gone. There are also more than 10 corpses of our disciples there. What? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone in the corpse sect's hall gasped. What? Zhang Tong asked in shock. It's absolutely true, Sect Master, this Tier 1 evolved being replied in shock. Then, everyone in the hall suddenly thought of something and looked at Yili and Hongya in unison. Did you do it? Zhang Tong stared at Yili and Hongya. His already cold face became even colder. Yili smiled. Looks like you're not too stupid. When Zhang Tong heard this, he could not help but burn with anger. He was about to unleash his thunderous anger. Sect Master, this woman doesn't seem to be human. Suddenly, a 7th-tier evolved being exclaimed. Everyone in the hall hurriedly looked at Hongya. They were all high-leveled evolved beings, so of course they could tell something. How is this possible? It was fine if the high-leveled evolved being of the corpse sect didn't look, but when they took a closer look, they were scared out of their wits. Master-level zombie? Only master-level zombies would have almost no zombification on their faces, and their eyes would turn black. The only thing that could be used to distinguish them was their aura. Chapter 633. The second Pangu axe fragment B0 Zenvel. CM the high-leveled evolved beings in the main hall of the corpse sect looked at Hongya in horror. They would never have thought that Hongya was a master-level zombie. Impossible, this is absolutely impossible. How can a master-level zombie appear here? Zhang Tong said coldly. After saying that, Zhang Tong stared at Yili and continued, I think this must be some kind of secret technique. Hearing that, all the high-leveled evolved beings in the hall felt that it made sense. Master-level zombies only existed in legends. How could they appear here? Yili smiled to himself. He didn't expect these ants to be able to tell that Hongya was a zombie. Unfortunately, they couldn't tell Hongya's true cultivation realm. Brat, it's a good thing that I have a good eye. Otherwise, one would really be frightened by you. Let me ask you again. The hundreds of zombies at the foot of the corpse mountain disappeared, and the dozen or so corpses of my corpse sect, were you the ones who did it? The leader of the corpse sect, Zhang Tong, asked coldly. That's right, we did it. However, I don't want to kill you. One just want the stone axe on the top of the mountain, Yili said leisurely. The high-leveled evolved beings in the main hall of the corpse sect were infuriated when they heard that. This person entered the dignified corpse sect as if no one was around. "Brat, do you know the consequences of offending my corpse sect?" Zhang Tong shouted angrily. Zhang Tong was a level 9 evolved being, but in Yi Li's eyes he was still a pitifully weak ant. Consequences. Yi Li thought for a while and shook his head slightly. "I don't know what will happen if one offend your corpse sect, but I actually want to tell you a secret, though one feel a little embarrassed about it." All the high-leveled evolved beings in the hall were stunned. They did not expect Yi Li to tell them a secret. What secret? Zhang Tong stared at Yi Li. In his opinion, Yi Li and Hongye were already lambs waiting to be slaughtered. There was no difference for them between living one more second or one less. Yi Li looked at the ceiling and then at his hands. He slowly said, "Actually, she's not a master-level zombie but a lord-level zombie." What? Everyone in the main hall of the corpse sect sucked in a breath of cold air and looked at Yi Li and Hongye in horror. They wanted to talk, they really wanted to talk. It was a pity that he could not say it no matter what. They would never have a chance to talk because the dead couldn't talk. The high-leveled evolved beings in the main hall of the corpse sect all had a shocking bloody hole on their foreheads. Their eyes were wide open. They could not believe that they had died just like that. There was no change in Yi Li's handsome face. There was no point in killing these tasteless flies. Then he and Hongye headed towards the top of Corpse Mountain. After arriving at the top of Corpse Mountain, he indeed found the stone axe. Without much thought, Yi Li walked in front of the stone axe and pulled it out. Another bolt of lightning struck the stone axe. The stone axe instantly cracked open, and a shiny black axe appeared in Yi Li's hand. Now it was already the second Pangu axe fragment. With another one he could synthesize 3 Pangu axe fragments and obtain the real Pangu axe. Yi Li stood at the top of Corpse Mountain. He used his heavenly spirit eyes to check and found a base city not far away. He concealed Hongye's aura and headed to the base city with her. When they arrived at the city closest to the base city, they found there were many zombies in this city. He found a group of zombie hunting teams excitedly hunting zombies. Chapter 634. Lightning Zombie Hunting Team B0 Zenvel. CM Yi Li and Hongye arrived at the city closest to the base city and found a zombie hunting team hunting zombies. There were 10 people in the zombie hunting team, and they were basically all Tier 1 evolved beings. They used all kinds of weapons. The leader of the team was a young girl who looked to be 17 or 18 years old. She was actually a Tier 2 evolved being. Yi Li and Hongye walked over slowly. The zombie hunting team also noticed Yi Li and Hongye, and they couldn't help but become vigilant. "Who are you?" The girl looked at Yi Li and Hongye warily. "We are outsiders. We want to go to the base city," Yi Li said to the girl. Hearing that, everyone in the zombie hunting team was stunned. Outsiders? The nearest base city to Linjiang Base City was also a few hundred kilometers away. They didn't know how many heavily infected areas there were between the two base cities. They really didn't understand how Yi Li and Hongye managed to come here. Suddenly, they thought of a shocking possibility. Yi Li and Hongye's realms were very high, at least much higher than theirs. "Hello, seniors. I'm Qinwei, the captain of the Lightning Squad." When the girl thought about how Yi Li and Hongye were high-leveled evolved beings, her gaze became respectful. Yi Li smiled to himself. He thought that this girl knew how to conduct herself. "Seniors, Linjiang Base City is just around the corner," Qinwei continued. Suddenly, a Tier 1 evolved being whispered something into her ear. Qinwei was stunned at first. Then, she wanted to say something but hesitated as if she had something difficult to say. A few seconds later, she finally mustered her courage. She looked at Yi Li and Hongye and said, "Seniors, there's a Tier 4 zombie and 2 Tier 3 zombies in City D. Can you help us kill them? As long as we kill these zombies, our points will be at the top of Linjiang Academy." After saying that, Qinwei lowered her head in embarrassment. "That's right, seniors. The fact that you were able to come here from another base city proves that you are definitely powerhouses. Please help us," a Tier 1 evolved being said. Yi Li smiled and said calmly, "Why should one help you? Did these people all think that Yi Li was a good person?" When the Lightning Squad heard Yi Li's words, they were all very embarrassed. However, they knew that they couldn't provoke powerhouses in zombie-infected areas. Otherwise, they wouldn't even know how they died. Outside the unprotected base city, there was an eternal principle: good people don't die. Bad people don't die. Only stupid people do. Seniors, you should go to Linjiang Base City now. We'll find a way to deal with the zombies ourselves. Qinwei smiled at Yi Li and Hongye. It was obvious that she understood this principle and didn't dare to offend Yi Li and Hongya. "Let's go," Yi Li said to Hongya, and the two of them started walking. Looking at Yi Li and Hongya's backs, Qin Wei heaved a sigh of relief and said disappointedly, "We shouldn't have let them help us just now. We don't even know if they're good or bad." "Sister Wei, you're right, but 2 Tier 3 zombies and 1 Tier 4 zombie? Forget it. We can't even kill a Tier 3 zombie with our strength. If we can't get first place in this trial, just let it be." "That's true. One heard that the Tier 4 zombie is a superpowered zombie. It has a silver pair of boxing gloves and can even release wind, rain, lightning, and thunder attacks." Yi Li suddenly stopped in his tracks. Chapter 635. News about Audiobook. CM Yi Li and Hongya were about to go to Linjiang Base City when he heard the conversation between the members of the Lightning Zombie Hunting Team. The Tier 4 zombie in City D had a silver pair of boxing gloves and could also launch the attacks of wind, rain, lightning, and thunder. Hongya also stopped in her tracks. Her fair face was filled with joy. "Master, is it Ada?" Ada's boxing gloves were called the Supreme Boxing Gloves. As for the wind, rain, lightning, and thunder, Yi Li had fused the White Lotus sect's gold, silver, copper, and iron skills into Ada's body when he was in Anan Base City. Yi Li was glad that he didn't leave very quickly with Hongya. Otherwise they might have missed the news. He turned around and slowly walked toward the Lightning Zombie Hunting Team, followed by Hongya. "Sister Wei, they're back," a Tier 1 evolved being hurriedly said. Qin Wei was startled. She didn't understand why Yi Li and Hongya came back. Could it be they wanted to kill them? At the thought of this, Qin Wei's fair face was filled with shock. "As senior, aren't you going to Linjiang Base City?" Qin Wei looked at Yi Li and Hongya tentatively. "Let's go. Take us to that Tier 4 zombie," Yi Li said slowly. Hearing that, the Lightning Zombie Hunting Team couldn't help but be stunned. They didn't expect Yi Li to say such a thing. "Senior, you're willing to help us?" Qin Wei's fair face was filled with joy. "That Tier 4 zombie is my subordinate. Do you understand what I'm saying?" Yi Li said calmly. The Lightning Zombie Hunting Team was shocked. They looked at Yi Li in shock. The Tier 4 zombie was his subordinate? What did he mean by that? They could not figure out his words even if they racked their brains. "Senior, actually, we don't know where the Tier 4 zombie is either. We can only look for it in City D," Qin Wei said to Yi Li. Upon hearing this, Yi Li activated the Heavenly Spirit Eyes. He used the Heavenly Spirit Eyes to check but did not find Ada. After all, the area covered by the Heavenly Spirit Eyes was limited. However, they found many ordinary zombies. After that, Yi Li, Hongya, and the zombie hunting team started searching in City D. A few minutes later they encountered a large group of zombies. Roar! Roar! Dozens of zombies pounced on them like hungry ghosts. Qin Wei led the Lightning Zombie Hunting Team to fight with this group of zombies. They all had score sheets on their wrists. The level of the zombies they killed was different, and the points they obtained were also different. Dozens of zombies were just ordinary zombies. There were no mutant zombie. Swish, swish, swish. The Lightning Zombie Hunting Team was killing these zombies. Yi Li thought that this speed was too slow. However, because of them he found out where Ada was. Since that was the case, he would give them a little help. "Hongya," Yi Li called out to Hongya. Hongya nodded and immediately flew out at an extremely fast speed, leaving behind only an afterimage. In just 1 second, dozens of zombies fell to the ground. The entire process was as smooth as water flowed. This. The Lightning Zombie Hunting Team couldn't help but gasp. They looked at the zombies lying on the ground with their mouths agape. Those zombies were not dead. "Hurry up and solve it," Yi Li said slowly. Qin Wei came back to her senses and quickly said, "Do it." Dozens of zombies fell to the ground like lambs waiting to be slaughtered. In an instant they were killed by the Lightning Zombie Hunting Team. Chapter 636. Ada was found B0 CM. After the Lightning Zombie Hunting Team finished off the dozens of zombies on the ground, they swallowed their saliva and looked at Hongya in shock. They had guessed that Yi Li and Hongya were very strong, but they didn't expect them to be so strong. Dozens of zombies were instantly beaten to the ground. This was too terrifying. Roar! Suddenly, a terrifying zombie roar entered their ears. The Lightning Zombie Hunting Team was shocked. They hurriedly looked in the direction of the sound. Their pupils constricted. 2 Tier 3 zombies. In front of them were 2 Tier 3 zombies and hundreds of zombies of different levels. With their strength they couldn't even kill 1 Tier 3 zombie, let alone 2. Qin Wei stole a glance at Yi Li and Hong Ye from the corner of her eye. She realized that Yi Li's face was as calm as water and Hong Ye's face was as cold as ice. It was as if these two Tier 3 zombies and hundreds of zombies were nothing in their eyes. Seeing that, Qin Wei was relieved again. She thought that as long as she killed these two Tier 3 zombies and hundreds of zombies, they would become the first place in this trial. Roar! Suddenly, the two Tier 3 zombies and hundreds of zombies moved. They rushed over at an extremely fast speed. At the same time, Hongya attacked. Another instant and only 2 seconds had passed. The entire process was as smooth as flowing water. Two Tier 3 zombies and hundreds of zombies fell to the ground at the same time. Yi Li didn't choose to synthesize these zombies. To be honest, it didn't matter if the zombies were synthesized or not. He would just give them some opportunities. When the lightning zombie hunting team saw this, their pupils shrank rapidly. Among the hundreds of zombies, there were two Tier 3 zombies. They could no longer imagine what realm Hongya was in. Her strength was simply terrifying to the extreme. Yi Li hid Hongya's aura. They couldn't tell that Hongya was a zombie no matter what. Actually, even if Yi Li didn't hide it, they wouldn't be able to find out about it with their cultivation realm. Attack! Qin Wei was the first to come back to her senses. She shouted softly. Then, the lightning zombie hunting team began to kill these zombies. A moment later, the lightning zombie hunting team killed two Tier 3 zombies and hundreds of other zombies. Sister Wei, we can be first place with our points now, a Tier 1 evolved being said excitedly. If we get first place, we'll get better rewards. All of a sudden, the members of the lightning zombie hunting team cheered. There was no change in Yi Li's handsome face. He was naturally not interested in this. He only wanted to find all Das Remnant Soul and use the soul summoning banner to help Ada recover. He activated his heavenly spirit eyes to investigate Ada's figure. City D was not big, but it was definitely not small. Finally, Yi Li found Ada. Ada was standing with hands behind his back on the rooftop of an office building, looking as if he could oversee the entire world. Yi Li couldn't help but laugh when he saw this scene. He didn't understand what Ada was looking at. The beautiful world? Without thinking too much, he activated swift steps and headed in Ada's direction with Hongya following behind. The two seniors are gone? The lightning zombie hunting team was stunned. They couldn't believe that the people in front of them had disappeared in an instant. When can I become someone like that, senior? I'm so looking forward to it, Qin Wei muttered to herself. Chapter 637. Complete Ada B0's Nvel. CM Yi Li and Hongya arrived at the rooftop of the office building. Ada's remnant soul was standing with his hands behind his back, overseeing the world. With a height of 1.9 meters, he looked extremely oppressive. Roar! Ada roared. He had already discovered Yi Li and Hongya. Who are you? Ada's remnant soul was a Tier 4 zombie and could already speak. Alda, this is Master, Hongya said to Ada. Master? Ada was stunned. Then he said coldly, one don't have a master. As soon as he finished speaking, Ada attacked Yi Li and Hongya. He punched out fiercely. The 4 elemental attacks of wind, rain, lightning and thunder arrived. Yi Li smiled faintly, thinking Ada was still as hot-tempered as before. Ada was just a remnant soul now. A Tier 4 zombie was too weak in Yi Li's eyes. Just like how he grabbed Hongya, Yi Li reached out and grabbed Ada before placing him into the system space. Then Yi Li activated the soul summoning banner. The soul summoning banner is being used 10%, 30%, 60%, 100%. The soul summoning banner has been used. In an instant, Ada's souls and spirits came from all directions. These souls and spirits were about to attack Yi Li, but Yi Li beat them all to the ground in less than a second. Then he began to synthesize Ada's soul. A few seconds later, the complete Alda appeared in front of Yi Li, 5th tier Lord level, Fist God Zombie, Ada. Master? Ada widened his eyes, his handsome face instantly filled with joy. Big brother all master and I spent a lot of effort to find you, Hongya said to Ada, smiling. Ding. Congratulations to the host for upgrading to Tier 4 Chosen One. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a super treasure chest. The system's voice appeared in Yi Li's mind. Yi Li smiled to himself. He did not expect to become a Tier 4 Chosen One just like that. Wasn't that too easy? He opened his attribute panel. Host Yi Li. System, Super Synthesis System. Weapon, Ancient Dragon Abyss Sword. Realm, Tier 4 Chosen One. Skill, Heaven Severing Sword. Apocalypse Legion, Ada Hongya. Now that Alda and Hongya had been found, there were still 7 zombies left. As long as they found the remaining zombies, the Apocalypse Legion would be complete again. Then Yili opened the super treasure chest. 800 genetic points, 800 strength points, 800 speed points, 800 defense points. Super treasure map 11. Yili was stunned. Were there endless super treasure maps? His handsome face lit up. Then he opened the super treasure map. The coordinates appeared in Yili's mind. It was Linha Base City. As the saying went, when luck came it was like eating chewing gum and couldn't be stopped. Why did treasures follow him wherever he went? Yili was the only person in the world who could have such luck. Then Yili concealed Audace Aura and headed towards Linha Base City. Not long after, they arrived at Linha Base City. Linha Base City was quite big and looked quite prosperous. There were also many genetic warriors on the streets and they were all evolved beings. Every time Yili came to the base city, he had to do one thing, which was to eat. In the wild, where was there anything good to eat? They could only eat a big meal in the base city. He used his heavenly spirit eyes to spy and soon discovered a good-looking Western restaurant. Chapter 638. Used as a shield B0 Zenvel. CM Yili, Alda, and Hongya walked towards the Western restaurant. The Western restaurant was called the Revolving Restaurant. It was located on a small island in the lake. After arriving at the Western restaurant, the people inside were all dressed in extraordinary clothes. Furthermore, they were all genetic warriors. It was obvious how high the expenses here were. Just as he was about to enter, a girl stood in front of Yili. This girl was very beautiful. She looked to be 16 or 17 years old, and there was a proud look on her fair face. She was a Tier 2 evolved being. "He's my boyfriend." The girl pointed at Yili and said coldly to another young man. Yili was stunned. He didn't expect to be shot while lying down. Was this girl using him as a shield? When the surrounding genetic warriors saw this scene, they immediately stopped in their tracks. Be it ordinary people or genetic warriors, they liked good shows to the extreme. Isn't this the second daughter of the Qin family? I heard that the young master of the Huang family, Huang Yun, has been pestering the second daughter of the Qin family, Qin Yu. That's right. One didn't expect the second daughter of the Qin family to already have a boyfriend. Moreover, he's so handsome. He's too handsome. The surrounding genetic warriors began to whisper among themselves. The youth standing opposite Qin Yu was Huang Yun. When Huang Yun heard this, he frowned and sized up Yili. He felt that he was considered handsome, but compared to the person in front of him, the difference was like heaven and earth. "Are you yes boyfriend?" Huang Yun looked at Yili and asked coldly. When Qin Yu heard this, she immediately looked at Yili with a pleading look in her eyes. Clearly, she wanted to hear Yili's affirmative answer. No. Yili shook his head. Qin Yu was stunned. She never dreamed that Yili would answer so directly. The surrounding genetic warriors were also shocked. Isn't this second Miss Qin's boyfriend? Why did he say no? That's right. I'm so smart but I can't figure it out. Could it be that second Miss Qin is using this person as a shield? As soon as these words were spoken, the surrounding genetic warriors could not help but widen their eyes. When Qin Yu saw that her plan had been seen through, her fair face was instantly filled with embarrassment. Then it was replaced by anger. No wonder. I've never seen him before. How can he be your boyfriend? Huang Yun smiled and said. Qin Yu ignored Huang Yun and stared at Yili. Am I not worthy of you? Qin Yu gritted her teeth. The surrounding genetic warriors all looked at Yili when they heard this. They all wanted to see how Yili would answer. However, they thought that this person would answer that she was worthy. After all, she was the second daughter of the Qin family. Not good enough. Yili looked at Qin Yu and said slowly. What? The surrounding genetic warriors gasped. Even if they used all their strength, they would never have expected Yili to answer like this. You think you're worthy of my master? You just don't know your place. Hongya said disdainfully. As soon as these words were spoken, the genetic warriors were dumbfounded. This was the second daughter of the Qin family. The Qin family was one of the strongest families in Linha Base City. No ordinary genetic warriors would dare to provoke her. Didn't these people know? You guys. Qin Yu was extremely angry. As the second daughter of the Qin family, she had never been so angry since she was born. Chapter 639. He'll give you 1 second to disappear B0 Zenvel. CM seeing the anger on Qin Yu's face, Huang Yun took a few steps forward and arrived in front of Yili. How dare you make you angry? Huang Yun looked at Yi Li coldly. The surrounding genetic warriors were stunned. They naturally knew that Huang Yun wanted to stand up for second Miss Qin. Yi Li smiled to himself. This Huang Yun was a rank 3 evolved being and was as weak as a speck of dust. He actually dared to boast shamelessly in front of him. What a joke. He'll give you 1 second to disappear. Yi Li looked at Huang Yun indifferently. As soon as these words were spoken, all the genetic warriors were stunned. They could not believe that Yi Li was so arrogant. They had seen arrogant people before, but they had never even heard of someone as arrogant as Yi Li. What did you say? Huang Yun frowned and stared at Yi Li. Yi Li shook his head secretly. He didn't understand. He really didn't understand why Huang Yun didn't cherish the opportunity he was given. A playful expression appeared on the faces of the surrounding genetic warriors. They all wanted to see how Yi Li would react. After all, Huang Yun's family was one of the strongest families in Linjiang Bay City. Qin Yu also looked at Yi Li in disdain. She really did not expect Yi Li to say that she was not worthy of him. It was really unbearable. Ah! Suddenly, a scream that sounded like a pig being slaughtered sounded in everyone's ears. Everyone present was shocked. They saw that Huang Yun was already paralyzed on the ground, and there was a shocking bloody hole in his right leg. How did he do it? A Tier 2 evolved being could not help but exclaim. The genetic warriors looked at each other. They didn't see how Yi Li attacked at all, but Huang Yun fell to the ground. Moreover, there was a shocking bloody hole on his right leg. What followed was silence. A long silence. Qin Yu could not help but be shocked. She did not expect Yi Li to be so terrifying. To be able to achieve such speed, his realm was probably unimaginably high. Stupid. Yi Li looked at Huang Yun, who was still screaming, and said calmly. As soon as he finished speaking, he, Ada, and Hongya slowly walked towards the revolving restaurant. The genetic warriors hurriedly made way for them. They did not want to be like Huang Yun. Yi Li, Ada, and Hongya walked into the revolving restaurant. He wasn't interested in what happened after that. After ordering a few expensive steaks and red wine, they began to eat and drink. Ada and Hongya were both zombies, so they weren't very interested in this thing. They almost vomited. Yi Li ate steak quite fast. By the time he was full, he had already eaten more than 10 pieces of steak. Everyone in the revolving restaurant was dumbfounded. Those who could come to the revolving restaurant were all members of the upper-class society in Linjiang Bay City. This person was wolfing down the food. Could he be a nouveau riche? Just as everyone in the revolving restaurant was stunned, a group of genetic warriors from the Huang family rushed into the revolving restaurant. Who injured our young master? A Tier 4 evolved being roared. The Huang family was one of the strongest martial families in Linjiang Bay City. How could the genetic warriors in the revolving restaurant afford to offend them? They were all scared. He'll ask again who injured our young master. If you don't stand up now when I find you, I'll definitely... Before he could finish his sentence, the Tier 4 evolved being was sent flying. Chapter 640. The third fragment of Pangu Axe B0 Zenvel. Everyone in the restaurant was stunned. They hurriedly rubbed their eyes, thinking that they had seen wrongly. However, no matter how they rubbed it, the outcome was the same. The Huang family's genetic warriors in the revolving restaurant were also terrified. They looked at each other and exchanged glances. Yi Li stood up slowly and walked over. The dozen or so genetic warriors of the Huang family looked at Yi Li, Ada, and Hongya in shock. Go back and tell your Huang family that if they provoke me again, I will turn the Huang family into flat ground in an instant, Yi Li said slowly. With that, Yi Li slowly walked out. For some reason, the Huang family felt an unprecedented sense of oppression. This kind of oppression even suffocated them. After walking out, Yi Li thought that the coordinates of the super treasure map were in Linjiang City, but he still didn't know where it was. Yi Li looked at the mountain not far away. He had actually used his heavenly spirit eyes to spy on the aura of the dark races. One had to know that the mountain not far away was still within the territory of Linjiang Bay City. He put Ada and Hongya into the system space, then activated swift steps and flew towards a mountain not far away. After reaching the mountain, Yi Li followed the aura of the dark race. Not long after, he heard some movements. A few days ago, a multicolored light appeared here. There must be some shocking spirit treasure here. But we haven't found it after searching for so long. Master, do you think we should go back? A group of genetic warriors appeared in front of Yi Li. They were all Tier 5 evolved beings and above. An old man in a tang suit was silent for a moment before saying, "All right." Just as the genetic warriors were about to leave, a group of dark race members suddenly appeared in front of them. This group of dark race members were all above the 6th tier, and their leader was a 9th tier dark race member. You want to leave? Everyone here today should stay here. The tier 9 dark race member said with a cold smile. The dozen or so human genetic warriors were stunned. They didn't expect the dark race to suddenly appear. You guys. The old man in the Tang suit looked at the dark race in front of him in shock. He was only an 8th tier evolved being. He had no chance of winning against a 9th tier dark race. Yili watched this scene from a tree. A playful expression appeared on his face as he prepared to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. Ding. Detected a Pangu axe fragment. Host, please pick it up. At this moment, the system's voice resounded in Yi Li's mind. Yi Li was stunned. A fragment of Pangu axe? Where is it? He activated the Heavenly Spirit Eyes to take a look and discovered that Pangu axe was in the middle of this group of human genetic warriors. However, it hid quite well and was not easy to discover. Just as the human genetic warriors and the dark races were about to fight, Yi Li appeared in front of them. Both humans and dark race members were stunned. They never expected a human to suddenly appear. There was no change in Yi Li's handsome face. He calmly scanned the humans and the dark races. Let me take something first, then you guys fight. Okay, I'm done. Now who agrees and who opposes? Yi Li said slowly. As soon as these words were spoken, the humans and genetic warriors were shocked. They looked at Yi Li in a daze. Human, do you know that you're committing suicide? The 9th tier dark race member asked coldly. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.